Hello, hello. Oops, that's right, I need to launch my actual camera.
I mean, we don't need to do cameras, but I
It'll be
thought,
nice to just quickly say hi. Hello, hello, hello.
uh,
Nice to meet you.
nice to meet you as well. I actually, having heard your voice so much over the internet,
Yeah, because
and
I talk over all my VODs and videos, right? Yeah.
when I actually saw one of your VODs, I was like, oh, that's right, there is a human on the other
Yeah,
side.
yeah.
Cool. Well, so I had a bit of a plan today, but of course I'm open for collaboration. I want this to be uh, you know, you're the one with the knowledge, and I'm the one with the learning, but
Hopefully.
I came with a plan.
Okay.
So I was particularly inspired by our conversation the other day about like hype cave first or not. And I was like, it might just be fun to do some Z3R sim and just like have a conversation about every
Yeah, definitely.
major decision. So I feel like I've told this story about myself, so I apologize if you've heard it before, but I mean,
No,
kind
go
of an
ahead.
interesting spot with my rando knowledge because I first started playing back in 2018, but then I got burnt out in 2020. I hadn't played since. So I
Sure.
have a lot of old knowledge there that is either in the process of derusting or like realizing that it's obsolete and I need to replace
Right, right.
new knowledge. And so I feel like a lot of my logic and routing and basic rando decisions are mostly based on like half remembered conversations or like vague impressions of things that I used to do.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to just like brainstorm out loud and like have a conversation and just double check some of my assumptions.
Yeah,
I
sure.
figured we could do that for half the time, and then in the end, if you wanted to, I had the idea that I could just do a sim by myself, and you could take notes about like things you would have done differently, or questions you would have asked, or like concerns that you've had. Um,
Yeah, if you want to, we can even run the same seed. Because you
yeah,
can actually input seeds into Z3R sim. So, but yeah,
yeah,
yeah, we can do it however.
yeah. I mean, you could even just like watch me
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
been like,
That
oh,
actually
you
actually
went
might be better. That actually might be better. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you went to ice, and I'll narrate out loud, but like you went to ice when which was a pendant, but you had, pod to almost completable. Like, let's
Right,
have the
right, right, right.
conversation. So, let me load it up. Have the thing
Yeah,
already
I'll do
open.
my best to share my viewpoint. And of course, I'm only one person, and I'm actually so just for like full context, like I'm actually like kind of on the outskirts of the random community. I'm a little bit of a hermit. Like I just like show up for mentor tournament and like do my thing. So I won't be a person who knows like what is like meta or like what are popular things, and like I kind of just play the game by myself. And of course, I've thought about the game a lot. I have my own opinions on things. I've done a lot of timings, um, but I have no idea in terms of like you know what is popular to do, what most people are doing. So
Yeah, I totally hear that. I
feel free to get ideas from other people as well. I can only present what I know.
Yeah, I definitely don't. So like I actually was a mentor in the 2020 tournament. And the only reason I'm a mentee is because I'm like 5 years rusty on all of my skills.
Okay, okay.
So I understand, a little bit about both sides of this process. And um yeah, I'm not treating this as like, please give me the wisdom from the heavens. I'm saying like, let's have a conversation and just like
Yeah, yeah.
like let me state some of my like bad assumptions out loud so I can realize
Yeah,
that.
you want to have all the information, right? And then make your best choice based on that.
Yeah. And of course, rando is going to rando. Some days you're just going to hit a seed that requires 170 checks, and you're like, well, maybe at least I'll have a fast cannon.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So this feels a little small. Can I
You zoom
zoom
in
in?
now.
Yes. Okay. I
There's also dark. There's also a dark dark mode skin.
There we
A
go.
little bit easier on the eyes.
I got one of those. I got like a 4K monitor recently, and
Okay.
now every time I like work,
Yeah.
every time I'm sharing something, I'm like, okay, here, hold on, I have to zoom in so that it's not thumbnail sized. Okay, so the classic first decision, Sync versus Link's house.
Hmm.
Back in the day, I was a firm Link's house, proponent. But nowadays I'm a Sank start because I um like my pros and cons for the decisions are like you I would like the goal in either of those starts is to get to Kakariko, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to decide what is going to make Kakariko better, right? Like you're going to want the flute, you're going to want a bottle. Those are like the things that could potentially make your Kakariko, like better so that you could, you don't have to go back to it. So in my mind, you're doing Link's house to Uncle, hoping for a bottle or a flute. And in my mind, the odds of either of those things happening are fairly low. Whereas conversely, if you do a Sank start, then you have a lot of checks. And then once you're done with all of those checks, you can save and quit to Link's house. And if you found a weapon, you can actually do Uncle into the front of escape. And I find that
Yeah.
uh, I just was like thinking about that, and I can't remember my reasoning from like 5 years ago, but it at least makes more sense to me now.
So I think you're like half right. So I think yeah, the whole point of, well, not the whole point, but like when you do Sank Start over Uncle Start, you don't have to do the walk up to Hyrule Castle again, right? So that's the advantage. You want to have to only do that walk once, right? So walk up there, do Secret Passage on Uncle, and then go ahead and do Front of Escape, right? I think most people, the reason that they do Uncle route, and I do it as well, is because they don't want to get into a situation where they need to farm bombs for Keck. So it provides them extra checks. There's a really easy tree pull to do there. Of course, you can do tree pulls, on the way to Lost Woods from Tank as well. But if you want to do like multiple tree pulls, you might have to spend some extra time. You might, stop by Lumberjack Cave because that route gives you more opportunities for tree pulls and bush crab checks and all that. So I think a lot of the time, the Uncle route is not specifically like, okay, what can I find to make Kakariko faster? It's I don't want to enter Kakariko without enough money and bombs to do it all in one go, right? And of
Yeah,
course,
definitely.
there are other ways to handle bombs, right? A lot of people will say, okay, I'll do Sank Start and I'll go Lost Woods, and if I reach the drop down and I get that item and I don't have any bombs, I'm going to save and quit to Link's house, go from the south and farm south of Grove for the 50-50 bombs. And that's a valid approach too. But the goal is to get to Keck with enough bombs and rupees to
Yeah,
get everything. So,
totally. One of the things that I've done as well is I think it's a 50-50 bomb right outside the rat hut. Um,
yes. Yes.
and it does suck when it's not there.
Yeah. Because yeah, that's a long way to the nearest screen transition. Yeah.
Well, you can just walk into the. I mean, it's not. It's you can walk into the chicken hut, ladies.
Feels long, yeah.
I mean, it does totally feel long, but it like at least for me that has saved my butt a couple of times when I've gotten to Sank.
Yeah, when you're there and you have no other options, then that's
Yeah,
gonna be your go-to. Yeah. So I mean, if that's your plan, that's good too. I haven't done like in all of the details like number crunching on like what are the odds that you get to Kakariko with bombs or without bombs based on exactly what the item pool is and how many tree pulls you do. So I can't really answer it. So my viewpoint
yeah,
right now is as long as you pick a route and you have a very concrete plan for like, okay, if I get my bombs, what do I do? If I don't have my bombs or rupees, what am I going to do here? Yeah. So
yeah. Cool, totally. And yeah, I'm not like one of the things that's cool about Rando is that you like maybe you could theoretically like mathematically solve it, but like even if you plot out the perfect route, your very next chest could be mitts, and suddenly you have like a
yeah,
whole new set of
yeah,
things
yeah,
to
yeah.
pay attention to. And I've found, I mean, I'm not at the realm yet where like 30 seconds would have saved my win, I'm still in the
Yeah,
like
but 30
losing
seconds is a
my.
lot, it adds up, right? So yeah.
I get that. I'm not saying like a one-time
Oh,
30
okay, yeah,
seconds.
yeah,
Like
gotcha.
if I'm losing 30 seconds on every screen,
Gotcha.
like that's a different story. But
Gotcha.
like if I have to farm bombs a little bit in CAC, like I've never lost a race by like that amount of time. I tend to lose my races by, 5 minutes. And that's because the other person has like practice cannon more than I have.
Sure.
Okay, so let's
What are we
go
doing here?
ahead
We're doing sync start
and
then?
yeah, can you
Okay.
see my mouse? Okay.
Yeah, I can see your mouse. Yeah.
Okay, so let's do sync start.
Okay.
We get a fire sword. Woohoo!
Okay. Cool. Working
And
out pretty well.
I just all since I'm walking right by it, I always check lumberjack. It's just because then you can get the tree pole and the crab, and I just check lumberjack.
Okay.
Uh,
It's getting less and less popular to do that, I will say. I don't
yeah,
know offhand, I haven't done the video, but I don't know offhand how much time it actually costs. But I will note it is getting less and less popular. But if you're going up there because you want, the additional enemies, you want the additional tree pool, that's a perfect reason.
yeah, because this is part of how I make sure that I have bombs by CAC is by
So you're
doing the tree
gonna do
pole.
like a tier one tree pool and then farm up again for another tree pool, I guess, if you need to.
Yeah, if I actually should study. Um,
How tree pools work.
yeah,
Well, I covered that in my session. So
great. Yeah, no, I just like basically if I don't get bombs by in that very first tree pull, and then I like kill all the enemies. If I have a weapon, I'll kill all of the enemies on my way and do a second tree pull, and that's basically the amount of knowledge that I have.
okay, yeah, I cover this in very, very large detail. I actually learned a few things, and
Great.
one of the things I learned is that not all of the prizes are equally likely for tree pulls. So you're going to get bombs, either one bomb, four bomb pack, or eight bomb pack. You're going to get it 10 out of 63 times
Okay.
um, for a given tree pull. So that's roughly 16% for each tree pull tier.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, as I said, it's just one of many
And
options.
same thing for the
So
bush crab. So yeah, so
yeah,
you're rolling that dice probably three times as you go through.
yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and hit Lost Woods. We got three bombs and we
Right.
got
So you got bombs. So
flippers.
let's assume you got some bombs, and then I guess you're heading to CAC.
Yeah. So flippers doesn't change my next step. So let's go ahead and do CAC. So it looks like we got the bow,
Mm-hmm.
which is cool. All right. And then I'm just gonna finish off this route by doing library and
And what's your
base.
what's your view on blind getting race game or checking it?
If I'm doing casual boots, I will spot it. And if I don't have boots, and I have extra bombs, I'll go for it.
Okay, I will say that based on my timings, it's better on average timing to always scout it, even without the boots.
Oh, okay.
I haven't made that video yet. Different people have different views on this. Some people will also be like, well, if CAC doesn't have any progression, then it's a little bit higher likelihood that something's going to be there because the progression has to be there. Some has to be somewhere, right? Um, that holds some weight, but I don't really give that much weight because there are a lot of sphere one checks, right?
Yeah.
All of a lot of Eastern, Zaha, like Mini Moldorm Cave, those are all sphere one. Your progression could be anywhere, right? So I don't really
Yeah.
put much stock in that, so I always scout it. But like I said, different people have different opinions. But based on my timings, and you can always confirm this, it's not worth it because if you look at the if you just look at a database of seeds and look at how often important stuff is in there, based on the timings, you have to go like based on the raw timing differences in order for it to be worth it to blind get the item on race game, you have to be wanting almost anything in the item pool, like down to like blue rupees, which
Mhm.
you don't want that, right? You don't care about blue rupees. So
Yeah.
I will say it should save time on average.
Cool. No, I appreciate that. Um, and I just want to thank you for putting in all of that effort. I know that the Rando community is getting better by five, as a community, we get better by 5 seconds every time one of your videos comes out. Like
Hopefully,
our
yeah.
universal speed increases. Now you said something, and back in the day we used to call it Sphere Zero, which is the all of the items that you could get with no items.
I think
or all of
I've heard Sphere Zero is like your starting equipment, and then Sphere One is I don't know, but whatever. It's terminology.
Okay. I just didn't know if maybe the things it'd be like, yeah, no, we all collectively decided to call it Sphere One, so it's fine.
Whatever. Yeah,
Okay, so let's scout the race game, and of course, it's going to be really funny if
it's like
uh,
your boots
it's
or
actually
something.
something here. Uh,
There you go. Well, you lost time this seed, but
okay.
what can you do?
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run back, grab it, and immediately activate the flute.
Hmm.
And from here, I've got a lot of options,
Yes.
and in my mind, they're all like fairly equal, right? Because we just got the flute, but what the flute opens up, there's not that much there, right? It's just one check. Um, and the flippers opens up 6 checks. So like that's also in my mind as like, okay, we just got something and it opened up 6 checks, but we still have, Link's house, front of escape, uncle, the dam, and mini Moldorm.
Hmm.
So if I hadn't gotten anything by now, if I had gotten the sword, but if I hadn't gotten the flute or the
Hmm.
flippers, my next route would be Link's house, uncle, front of escape.
Um, you want to do your map check?
Okay, do my map check.
Okay.
Eastern's a pendant.
That can be relevant because I would argue that if you're going to let's if you pretend that we don't have the flute, then maybe Eastern is a full clearable crystal. Why not knock that out right now, right? Since you have the
Hmm.
bow. Assuming you can do the dark rooms, which
Yes.
I don't know, right?
The Eastern I can do the dark rooms. The only dark room I have trouble with is Maya.
Yeah, I'll have trouble with that too. So that's the first thing I would say. So it looks like Eastern is a pendant. So in our situation right now, what do you think you would do?
Um,
So you just activated your flute.
just activated my flute. So there's an option to do Eastern, grab the green pendant, and do Saha's closet.
Mm-hmm.
There's the dam to mini Moldorm, and I would put those kind of in the same bucket.
Yeah. Okay.
There's Uncle in front of Escape. So those are like the three main options that I've talked about so far. And then I would say that the fourth option is Ice Rock Cave, Camper to Zora.
Okay.
Like that is so that is around as well. So one of the things that I try to do at the beginning of the game is that I try not to leave, Sphere One behind unless it's super easy to like come back to in the Dark World.
Okay.
Uh,
Are you thinking about Zora?
so yeah, so like Zora, for example, like comboing Catfish into Zora, very common. Comboing Pyramid Ledge into Uncle in front of Escape, like very common. Comboing um, Dam and Swamp, like very common. Like you could even do like a Hype Cave, Swamp, Dam, Mini Moldorm Cave. So
Okay.
from all of that,
I see that pretty rarely because usually people already check those by the time they have a mirror and the pearl and everything. But yeah.
right.
I
So
get what you're saying.
I'm just like, since I have the time to think, I'm just like thinking through all of the various options. And then the
Yeah.
final thing is, right, like if you're in, so actually all of these kind of have easy access from Dark World, because if you're in the Dark World, then getting back to Eastern for the green pendant into Saha is very straightforward. So I think
You're assuming you find the mirror.
yes, of course.
But yeah,
And
okay.
if I don't have the mirror, then the conversation changes. But I'm just like, if I don't
Yeah.
have the mirror, then half of all of what I just talked about, like, doesn't you can't do Catfish into Zora, and you can't
Okay.
do
Okay.
Pyramid Legend to Uncle. So I think that my next best step is so one of two ways. I could chase the progression, or I could just finish out Sphere One. And so in my mind, what's left for Sphere One is Uncle, Front of Escape, Dam, Mini Moldorm, and uh, Ice Rod.
Hmm.
Because if I'm gonna do um, like yes, Saha's closet is also sphere one, but sphere one, since I have the bow, like I'm gonna include that all in the sphere two like
You're gonna,
calculus.
yeah, you want to group those two together because you want to go from Saha to Eastern. If that's your play, you want to group
Yeah.
those two together. Okay.
So I
What do you think you'd do?
could, so, and I would say that since I have the flute, like Ice Rod to Camper up to Zora, like that's a sphere two check, and Eastern and Saha is a sphere two check, and then Uncle to Front of Escape is sphere one, and Dam to Mini Moldarm is also sphere one. So I feel like that.
Okay. And just to be clear, like when we're talking about spheres right now, we're more talking about your routing spheres, not necessarily the logic spheres, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, so like get completing Eastern requires an item. To me, that's what makes it the next sphere up.
For your routing, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, like technically the front locations in Eastern are sphere one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Just
okay, I get what you're
yeah,
saying.
just for my routing.
What do you think you choose?
Um, so I feel like if I was going to be riskier, I would go for the sphere 2 stuff. And if I was feeling safer, I would go for the sphere 1 stuff.
Hmm.
If I was facing somebody who I could.
Okay, I think this is really good. I think I have a way different way of thinking about all this than you.
Okay.
So I'm gonna start talking. First thing, the small thing, Ice Rod Cave right now is kind of, I know you mentioned grouping it together with the Zora and the water checks, but in this case, that's actually not true, and that's because you have the flute. So when you walk out of Ice Rod Cave, if you want to get to the Zora checks or even Camper, if you want to get to all those next, you're going to flute away. So Ice Rod Cave is kind of its own isolated check right now. The fastest way to get Ice Rod Cave is to flute there, get it, and then flute away. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So bigger picture wise, um, in terms of what I'm thinking when I look at this and decide what to do next, I'm going to look at, well, you're probably going to check all these checks, right? You're obviously going to check Dam at some point. You're obviously going to check Minimalism at some point. You're probably going to check Saha. Maybe you want to put it off a little bit, but it's kind of not like, okay, it's you're deciding what order to do these checks in, right? And when you're deciding that, I want you to start thinking about which one of these sequence of checks can get better later, right? Which one of them has more risk? Which one of them can get more profitable if I have more items? So what I would do right here is I would actually do Dam and Minimal Learn first, for sure. And the reason why is because it's not going to get any better for you unless you do some crazy thing and you're in the dark world with the mirror and you combo it with like Swamp Palace, but that requires a ton of items, right? So that's really
Yeah.
unlikely. And right now, you can flute to the dam, do it, Minimal Learn Cave. It's really not going to get any better than that, right? Whereas if you went to Saha and Eastern, yeah, you're going to get the items in Saha, but then you might regret going into Eastern because it's a pendant dungeon, right? And maybe it's not required. So maybe you're going to get your Dark World access and the Molar Cave, and then you're going to do a bunch of stuff, and then lo and behold, you never have to step inside Eastern Palace, right? So going into Eastern Palace right now has kind of a cost associated, right? There's a risk, right?
Yeah, that
That's
makes
not
sense.
required. And on the flip side, going to Dam and Molar Cave doesn't have any risk at all.
Yeah.
Same thing with Ice Rock Cave, actually, right? It's one check, and it's pretty slow, but it's not going to get any faster, right? You're going
Right.
to do it, and then you're going to get out. So in my mind, these checks are kind of quote unquote free checks. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And with Zora, that one does have a cost because if you go there right now, you don't have enough money for Zora. So that one does have a cost, right? So
Yeah.
that's probably the cost. That's probably the check I want to do the least right now, right? Because that has a really heavy cost associated with it, right? I'd rather go
Mhm.
into Eastern than Zora right now, probably. Now, front of escape, you can argue that there's also a cost into doing front of escape, right? Because what happens if you get the small key? Are you going to go all the way to the back, right? And go through the dark rooms and go to Dark Cross and go all the way to the back? It might not be required because you might get a glove. For example, in Mini Moldrum Cave, you'd be able to go to the back by using the glove and a bomb, right?
Yeah.
So there's also a cost to doing front of escape here. So
Yeah.
do the free checks.
In my mind, generally, the front of escape is all the way to Dark Cross. I wouldn't go. I have not had much opportunity to like continue on to the back of escape.
Yeah, but it might be required in the seed, right? And if you
Well,
don't know that,
yeah, if I had the lamp, you're right. So,
or the fire rod, yeah,
or fire rod, yes.
yeah. And if you
Um,
don't know that yet, you're going to have to make that decision. And if you choose to leave and it ends up being required, you have to make that trip twice, right?
okay, so I'm hearing just to make sure that I understand. So there, when evaluating well, like where to go. So like, do I go to, Dam and Mini Moldorm or do I go to Eastern? Um, there was some questions that you asked
Yeah,
that I actually really like. The first one, is this ever going to get faster? Is it ever going to get more profitable? And does it have a downside?
yeah. Basically, when I think about which order to do checks, I'm thinking about which one of these do I want to put off, right?
Yeah,
Until potentially later, either I have more items or I have more knowledge or, these kinds of things.
right. Kind of like in the way that we're putting off the mountain right now because
Yeah, because it can get a lot more profitable if you get the hook shot,
yeah.
the mirror.
Okay, so from this perspective, um, Eastern is risky because there's a chance I won't need the pendant and I won't need to
Mhm.
have dipped in there. Zora is risky because I don't have enough money.
Yep.
And Front of Escape is risky, one, because I don't have lamp, and two, potentially because I could get gloves and and that would be a lot easier.
Hmm. Yeah.
So from that perspective, all that's left is Mini Moldor Madame. And by the way, I'm just like taking notes for myself, and it's hard for me to talk and type at the same time. So if you ever catch me
Totally fine.
taking a break, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So it's great that you got the flute because that when you have the flute, like all of a sudden you have these free checks, right? And that's an important thing to think about. Another one that I do personally is if I have the flute and also the glove, I usually consider Saha to be a free check.
uh-huh.
I don't know if you can follow the reasoning for that or not, but
Well, so here's uh so trying to follow your logic on that would be that like getting from the flute area to Saha is pretty quick with the glove.
uh, no, it's actually getting from the flute area to Eastern Palace that's really fast with the glove. So the reason, so my logic is actually right now without a glove. If you go to Saha, you probably want to also spend that time to walk over to Eastern, right?
Mhm.
Otherwise, you're going to have to make another trip through that whole Saha area to get over to Eastern Palace, and then you'll have walked that whole thing twice, right?
Yes.
But if you have a glove, then whenever you want to get to Eastern,
I
you can
see.
just flute there, lift the rock, and it might even be faster, right?
Mhm.
So in that case, Saha becomes kind of its own little thing, and you can just come back for Eastern and separate those two very easily, and it doesn't really cost you anything to do that, right? I don't know about the exact timing difference. Like it could even be faster if you're just stepped out of Saha to flute away again and like lift the rock, right? Because it kind of takes a while to get to Eastern, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that would definitely be an interesting, just like because I can see this, right? So like the cost to doing so Sphere Zero Saha risk that you will have to come back later for Eastern.
mhm.
Okay, so Mini Moldorm and Dam doesn't get any better. So I
Yeah,
think that's going to be our
and of
next.
course you can say it gets better with the boots, but everything gets better with the boots, so
Yeah.
that's not a valid argument. So I would 100% do those two. I think that is actually like the number one correct answer here in this situation.
Okay, so let's do it. And by the way, this is exactly what I was hoping for. So thank you so
Yeah,
much.
this
I
is a really good.
realize
This is a really
like
good example. You know.
I want to get into the weeds on this stuff because
Hmm.
like the whole conversation about like, is this check risky? Like was not even a part of my
Yep.
calculus.
Yep.
And so, okay, so let's do dam,
Hmm.
nothing, bottle. Okay, so here we are in mini Moldorm.
Hmm.
I would say that a bottle doesn't really add much to our previous calculation. So maybe we could continue on with the same assumptions of like, oh, okay, let's actually continue on to Ice Rod because Ice Rod's not going to get any better.
And what's the fastest way to Ice Rock Cave from any Molan Cave?
Fluting.
Yeah. If you didn't have the flute, what's the fastest way? Is it faster to swim or walk? Pop quiz.
Um, I've never actually timed walking compared to swimming.
Okay, I
But
have to time it again too, actually. But when I timed it a long time ago, and I could never get swimming to be faster.
that was my that's my instinct is that swimming is not
Yeah.
faster.
Even though swim speed is faster than walk speed, it's just there's too many twists and turns and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
you have to
like
climb up the ladder.
you're never like diagonals, I think, aren't as fast. And also you have the whole time of getting out into the water and out
Yeah,
of the
yeah, all
water.
that stuff. Yeah. Okay, so
Okay.
you're gonna flute to Ice Rock Cave. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Okay, so that was three bombs. Um, okay, so I feel like I don't have the mirror.
Now things
So
get a little bit more tricky because the last part was really easy because those checks were free, no cost. Now you got to make a
yeah,
decision, right?
now we're in the realm of risky plays. So one option is the bottle is pretty free right now.
The bottle is pretty free. I will say that if you get your Dark World access, you can hit that up. You can flute there, get Sick Kid, and then go to your CAC portal, right? So there's a
Yeah.
small cost in that you'd have to do an extra flute trip, but not a bad idea.
Yeah. So we got a pretty free sick kid, but then we haven't been to Long's. I was gonna say
It's a
Luke's
long
house,
sense, yeah.
and then I corrected myself to Long's house. I'm feeling so we still don't have enough for Zora, so that's big
In fact,
chance
you
of
actually didn't have enough for Bottle Vendor in the seed. If you look
oh
at the amount of rupees you collected, but let's assume you did. You got
okay
some from a triple or something.
yeah um
But if you didn't have enough rupees, that would be another reason to come back and do Sick Kid and Bottle Vendor, right? Fair.
yes um And just to correct, question my own assumption here. Given the choice between buying bombs and paying for bottle vendor, like there's no other bombs, and you have 100 rupees, like you're gonna buy bombs, right?
Oh yeah, if you need them for the rest of the CAC checks, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for
Okay.
sure.
Just that's what I thought too, but I was like, hey, I've got somebody to bounce ideas off of, mine as well.
There
So
is an argument that you could like, okay, I really want to not leave anything behind, so I'm gonna use the money on the bottle vendor and then farm my bombs with the bush, and
yeah,
then
I would potentially. So
costs a lot of
the
time.
shop is right next to the place where you farm the bombs. So I might actually run down there and just like try to farm a bomb real quick. And if it works, then
I
I've
don't
got
know. It
my
depends on where you are, I think, on the screen as well. But remember, if you buy your bombs, use it to get all the checks from like Blind's Hut, the well, you could just get a bunch of rubies from that, right?
yeah, that's true also.
So
Okay, so I think that my since the back of escape is so easily accessible with gloves,
mhm.
and it's like so accessible that I can't even remember the last time that in a non-standard seed that I actually like walked through Dark Cross to get to the back, right?
Sometimes it's required, but a lot of times it's not. Yeah.
I mean, of course, I've only been playing for like 2 months, and so the number of seeds that
Okay.
I've
Sure.
been played since I came back, and I don't remember any of the seeds from 5 years
Sure. Sure.
ago.
Sure.
So, um, but I don't have the lamp or the fire rod, so at
Mhm.
least right now it's not forcing me through there. So I actually think that of all of the risky plays, right, like getting to Zora without money,
Yeah.
doing Eastern without and not needing the pendant, and uh, and orphaning the darkroom chest, I think that the thing that I've done the most common and the thing that I'm the most comfortable with, which is why I'm inclined to do it, is to do Link and escape. Link's house, uncle to escape.
So you just open your chest in Ice Rock Cave. How exactly are you gonna proceed?
So I get out of Ice Rod Cave, flute to 4, check Link's house, do uncle, and then do front of escape.
Okay,
Be my
I
plan.
have an optimization for you.
Okay.
Faster to save and quit out of Ice Rod Cave if you're gonna go to Link's house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Is it faster to save and quit most places instead of if you're going to Link's house,
depends.
is it faster to save
Yeah,
and
it
quit?
depends. It's just because walking out of Ice Rod Cave takes 2 extra screens. Yeah, so if
Yeah.
you're already on the overworld, then you probably you want to flute to Link's house. But if you're in Ice Rod Cave, it's actually faster to save and quit. Yeah, this is like my domain because I'm all about these like timing comparisons. Like I
Yeah.
also know that uh I can give you another pop quiz. You probably won't have the right answer, but what's the fastest way if you just open the Ice Rock chest, you want to check camper next? How do you do it?
Um, so I would without
Let's say you have your current equipment loaded up.
yeah, I would flute to 8 and hop in the water
Mhm.
and then go up to camper.
Okay. It's actually faster to save and quit to Link's house.
Huh.
And then walk to the right and then swim there.
Oh, so walk down to the shop,
Yep.
check and the check the height.
You get the like Hylia scout as well. And it's faster.
So, okay. All right. So
Yeah,
next,
anyways,
yeah,
so
yeah,
actually,
yeah.
so if so I would personally save and quit from Ice Rock Cave, start at Link's house. You haven't checked that yet. So I would check
Mhm.
that. And then once I walk out of Link's house, I'm actually probably liable to check on that bottle. Just go just go to stick it. That's probably what I would do. I
Just
think your way
because,
is okay too, doing from escape and hoping to put off sick kid. But in I feel like in my mind, number one, we're kind of like following the progression. Like, there's a reason the state gave us a bottle, maybe or maybe not. But I think the bigger issue here is um we're pretty far from sick kid being able to combo sick kid into like the dark world, right? We need like so many
yeah.
items to do that, right? We need a pearl, we need 2 other items for dark world access, right? Whereas for front of escape, we just need a lamp, right? Think about, like it's very likely, not super likely, but it's very possible your lamp could just be hanging out in Saha, your lamp could be at sick kid, right? So that's
Mhm.
actually a very possible scenario that if you commit to doing front of escape now, maybe you're confident about doing it in the dark, but like it might be better to just have that lamp and then go all the way through, right?
Yeah. So from that perspective, right, we have the flute. Let's assume that we're going to get a glove because you're either going to get mitts or glove and a hammer. So let's assume that we're going to
You
get a
hope,
glove.
unless you have to do Aga. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you might have to do aga, but at some point you will get a glove, right? Like
yeah.
and you're going
Hopefully
to get that
sooner.
glove pretty early. So from that perspective, I feel like Link's house to Saha or flute to sick kid or even like flute to sick kid and then flute to 5 for Saha. I feel like because what we're trying to do is we're trying to check the things. So like again, we've decided that like aside from the cost of the fluting, like sick kid is fairly free right
Yeah,
now and Saha is fairly free right now because we already have the flute and we know that we're going to get a glove eventually.
kind of. But the problem is we don't know when we're going to get the glove.
Yeah. Yeah, so like if Eastern is our very next thing and we do
If
all
your
of the
glove's
rest
in
of it,
Eastern, then you just wasted time because now you have to go over to Saha again, right?
yeah. Okay, so from that perspective, I think that I'm gonna do sick kid and then front of escape.
That's probably what I would do.
Okay.
And another factor here is even if you don't have the lamp, you can still go to the back, right? It might take you a bit longer, but you can still do it, right?
Yeah. I've definitely run the escape sequence enough times, and I've got like the
Yeah. You
dark
have six
portal.
hearts, right?
Yeah.
Maybe something's in your bottle too. So okay, so let's do it. So we're
Okay.
saving, quitting to Link's house.
Saving, quitting the Link's house. We're getting the Link item. 300 rupees.
Okay, it's a lot closer to Zora money.
Closer to Zora money. And then let's check Sick Kid.
Yeah, you'd actually be able to do bottle vendor now too. So all right,
Yeah.
so we didn't get any progression, unfortunately. So we're still following with the escape play.
Okay, so then the next two possible sequences, or the next three possible sequences are Front of Escape,
You know
Zora.
what? I actually changed my mind. This is a little bit more advanced, but actually there's a better way to do this. I would do save and quit to Link's house, swim to camper. Because remember, the fastest way to camper, is to save and quit from Link's house. So I would actually do that. Then in the shallow patch of water outside of camper, I would flute sick kid. Does that make sense?
Right, because you're just because there's no because that's always going to be the fastest way to check the camper. And you could and you check Hilly Island at the same time, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So
Okay.
that's actually what I would do.
Okay. Let's let's assume that we've done that then. So
Yeah.
let's get like Hilly Island. There's 20 rupees there.
And then camper. And now we went to sick kid and we just finished
Yeah.
sick kid.
Okay. So we've got front of it. Basically, we've got the front. Like if we're putting off Zora until we have Zora money,
Yep.
then our options
It's
are
basically
the
in front of escape and Saha, yeah.
front of Escape and Saha. And front of Escape just so like if we're that's like we can get all of the items there up through Dark Cross.
And if you have a
Uh,
key and you know your dark rooms, you can also get to the back.
okay. So yeah, let's do that then because
Yeah, yeah, that makes
I do
perfect
know
sense.
that dark room and that's basically
The one
uh
challenging part is you have to find the key rat in the dark.
yeah. Okay. So let's
Which can be easier if you have a bee in your bottle. These kind of things can actually be relevant. That's actually a perfect use of the bee.
let's see. We got a blank bottle.
Yeah, okay, okay. I don't know if ZCDR sim actually tells you what you got in your
Okay.
bottle.
Well, let's assume that we've got a bee and
Okay, sure. But
so
yeah, I think
let's
front of escape 100% here.
okay. So Hyrule Secret Passage,
All right, just got some money.
just some rupees, Front of Escape, Hook Shot.
Hook shot. Okay. So you got your piece of heart, hook shot, and a map. The next question is, are you taking a death warp to go check Dark Cross? Or are you leaving it?
So one of the things that I've been doing lately is I've been more hesitant to let's see, I've been more resistant to sequence breaking because I'm still like fairly fresh at like remembering all of this stuff and I'm still in the like there's a lot of like overload in my brain and there's like a lot of things that I'm having to remember right now
Gotcha.
and the remembering the logic is it's like at kind of at the it's like too much for me right now.
Sure.
So from that perspective, I mean, I will happily, do the dark room for old man. Because just remembering that the whatever's there needed the lamp, like that's easy. Um, I guess all of these sequence breaks right now just need the lamp. Um, you know, no mirror. Okay, so
This is
this
actually
doesn't have.
this discussion could actually go surprisingly deep. So I would probably given the hook shot, I would probably be tempted to leave it behind, especially since you have seven hearts. I mean, you could plan for a death warp in advance, so maybe that works.
Yeah.
One thing I do know is so the thing that we're worried about here is Dark Cross is your key, and it's required to go through Dark Cross to get to the back, right? That's kind of the case that we are worried about, because then we just missed an opportunity to do all of that right now, and we have to walk back from Link's house to front escape, right? That's kind of our risk of leaving Dark Cross behind right now, right? Or maybe Dark Cross is just an item, and still, like we could have gone that now instead of walking back, from Link's house. That's kind of our risk.
Yeah, I mean, and
On the other hand, I do know for a fact that if you have a lamp on hand, it's actually faster to get to Dark Cross from the back than the front.
Mhm.
Also, Dark Cross could just be the compass. Oh no, you already got there's no compass, and you already got the map. So,
Yeah, so it's
but
either
Dark
so it's
Cross, if Dark Cross is the key, and you find your glove elsewhere, you get to skip it entirely. And wouldn't that save you the most time, right?
yeah. So there's a little bit of EV going on here.
For sure, for sure.
And given that like we don't have the lamp anyways, and we just got the hook shot, like I'm tempted to leave it because
Yeah,
as
I
much
would
as
probably do
it's
the same.
as much as it sucks to walk from Link's house back to the castle,
Another
it's
time, yeah.
it's
It's not
not
that much, right?
it's not the worst thing, right? Like it's
Yeah,
not like having to reclimb the mountain.
I agree. I agree.
So talking about
So now, would you go to the
mountain,
mountain or would you take a pit stop at Saha? I think those are your two options.
yeah, that's what I was just thinking too. Or um, we still have the the Zora checks hanging out there.
Yeah, but I think I'm still putting those off, right? For
Yeah.
money.
Um, so here's the thing. Saha only ever gets more profitable if Pendant Eastern is required, right?
Yeah, and you don't have a glove.
Yeah,
If you have a glove, you can just flip back to Eastern, and it doesn't really cost you anything.
yeah. Whereas the mountain can get insanely more profitable if we find the mitts and a pearl or a hammer, right?
Yeah, hammer
Uh,
especially, because what? Because imagine that your hammer is hanging out in Saha.
yeah.
The nightmare scenario is you go up to the mountain, check everything, don't find anything. Now you got your hammer, and your progression is where?
Well,
Hera.
yeah, and progression is inherent. So I'm
You have to
tempted,
go all the way back again, right?
yeah. So anytime I'm going to the mountain, I'm always checking to see if I can make this more profitable somehow. And so this is kind of what your heuristic was all about. And I I was kind of already doing it for the mountain.
Yeah.
So I think Saha is the next check.
Okay. I think I'd do that too. Okay. Didn't get anything, but you did get our Zora money.
Yeah, we did get our Zora money. And I would say that now that we have Zora money, um, Zora is never going to get any faster,
Yeah.
right? And
Same
it's never
argument
going
as
to get any more
before.
profitable.
Your camera could be in Zora.
Yeah,
You better, if it is, you better get it now.
yeah. Okay, so let's do it. Waterfall Fairy, Magic Cape, and Master Sword. That's actually pretty hot.
Oh.
That's pretty hot.
Oh.
Waterfall Fairy. Yeah, but now we're in serious Aga territory.
Yeah,
Um,
because what do you have? You have the flippers and the hook shot.
yeah, so that's a lot of
That's a
Eastern.
lot of Dark World access.
That's a lot of Dark World access. Okay, so
But let's finish checking those vortex.
yeah, Heart Piece, no thanks.
Right.
100 rupees.
And a
Okay,
radiant. Okay.
so now we have two options. We have the mountain, and we also have Aguna. And here's why I'm considering Aguna. We have the flute. So getting there is like it's never gonna get faster to get there, right? Like even if we
Yeah,
went,
that's right.
we could if we went, if we fluted and only talked to Agana on that trip, right? Like that's not too much further than fluting and like going in the front of desert, clearing out desert, and then walking from the side of desert over to Agana, right? Like with
Oh, I see what you're saying.
so like checking Agana now is actually in terms of just the amount of time that you spend on the Agana check, right? Is about the same amount of time, I would imagine. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Is about the same amount of time as
Yeah,
if
that's
we were
interesting to think about. You might be right, actually.
do
I
desert
didn't
then
quite
Agana.
think about it that way, but you might be right. I think it really depends on the Desert Palace route.
Yeah,
Because if your last check in Desert Palace is on the right side, then you could just walk out the right and then walk to Agana that way. But even
yeah,
so, like you have to like walk back through the cannonball room probably. So maybe you might, yeah, maybe you're right. I've never thought
yeah.
about that before. That's a good point. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so let's check, see what's on Desert Ledge. Nada. Agnes Cave. Nada. Okay, so now I feel very comfortable going up to the mountain
Yeah, for sure. You
because
got to go up now.
there's nothing left. So so first thing that I'm gonna do is say the old man.
Yep.
And then I'm gonna do the hook shot stuff because if over here is mirror or hammer, then walking back over here to Hera, and then we could potentially do spectacle rock at that same time. Whereas if we go up the spectacle
Hmm.
rock, then we'll have to just like that's a wasted trip.
And let me ask you this. What
Yeah.
if your hammer is at spec rock?
So if
That
hammer
works
is
out pretty bad, right?
yeah. Um So okay, we go up here and there's nothing here and we just like jump down and walk over. That's just like that's like one extra climb. Whereas if the hammer's over here, then we are up here and we walk across the bridge, do Hera, and then do Spec Rock. Um, so yeah, it's do we want to risk
Yeah,
the
do you want to risk
climb?
it? Yeah.
Do we
So,
risk the climb for 2 items or do we risk the climb for 8 items? I'm gonna say 8 items.
okay, I think I'm a little bit more conservative than you. I would check spec rock first here, but I think well, actually no. So how are you going to route the right side in this scenario of yours? Like how are you going because like the thing is when you do spiral cave, it takes you down to the lower level. But your plan was to like go on the left and then hop down to spec rock. So how are you going to do both of these?
So if we don't get anything on the right hand side, so that's like paradox to spec rock,
Sure. Then
save
you
and
do
quit.
paradox and then spiral. Then you're done.
Yeah, sorry. Paradox, spiral, save and quit up to spec rock.
Sure.
That would be my route.
But you said if you found your hammer in paradox cave or something, then what would you do?
Yeah. Then I would do Hera,
Mm-hmm.
and now I have a decision to make. I'd have to do Spiral Cave as save and quit back up to Spec Rock. So from that perspective, I
Okay.
think Spec Rock is the right first move.
Um, yeah, only because it takes away the risk of hammer being a spec rock, right?
Well, so the thing that we don't want to have happen is that we just walked out of Hera and we've got two places we can go. We can either go to Spec Rock, which is a one-way trip, or we can go to Spiral Cave, which is a one-way trip.
I think that part is actually okay because you just do spiral cave, and then you'd either save and quit or flute, and then you'd do spec rock second, right?
Right. So,
That only
um,
so this case so that's actually fine. You know, if you knew that your hammer was over there on the right, I think that's totally fine. It's actually better, I think. But if your hammer is in spec rock, that's going to be a disaster.
yeah. So going back to your conversation about like what's free, right? So we're gonna have to climb Spec Rock no matter what. It's in this scenario.
Yeah,
Because if we find the hammer over there, we're going to do Hera, and then we're
yeah,
going to do Spiral, and then we have to climb for Spec Rock.
yeah. You'd have to like come up with a pretty far fetched scenario where like you get both the hammer and the mirror over there on the right side.
Yeah.
Then you can like hop down, check spec rock, and then mirror back, and then go to spiral
Yeah.
cave. But that's not likely.
Um, so I'm just going to write this down.
So I would
Yeah,
recommend
I think
doing
Spec
spec
Rock
rock.
first.
Yeah.
Um,
As a general rule, also if you're not sure whether to check spec rock first or hookshot over, just check spec rock first. There are
yeah,
situations when it is probably more ideal to hookshot over, but if you're not sure, just check spec rock first.
yeah.
It's always safer.
Okay, so let's do it. Piece of heart,
All right.
hammers on
Oh,
top.
ho, ho. That
Motherfucker.
scenario that we were talking about might not be as far fetched anymore.
Yeah. Well,
But okay.
so this is what I'm this is actually like a potential worst case scenario because we climbed it once. Now we're gonna find we're gonna find the mirror on the right side, right?
Maybe not. Could be an Eastern.
Could be an Eastern. Shit. Okay.
But I think I think you checked paradox first for sure.
Yeah. So from this perspective, like you're gonna get the mirror, and then you have to. So we're gonna have to do this climb twice. But yeah, I think what you're
Yeah, but
saying is like
no,
spec rock first is
fine.
always kind of the
It's safer. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So let's do it. Well, we
We got a
got the
ball.
moon pearl.
There's our pearl. So there's our dark world access.
Yeah. Well, no. So we don't have. We're still missing our gloves and
I
our
guess we don't have our lamp to put it in logic.
yeah.
We don't
Uh,
need a glove actually.
so let's
We
check
don't we
floating
don't need a
island.
glove for dark world access. We just need Aga.
This is true.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is so let's check spec rock. Or I'm sorry, floating
Oh,
island.
okay. Interesting.
Yeah. Um,
You got an interesting seed here.
yeah. Lots to talk about. Um, and
And
then the
Spiral
last
Cave, yeah.
thing we just got to do is spiral.
There it
Mirror.
is.
Okay. So from here, we just jump down. We're gonna save and quit and do Hera.
Yeah, or maybe flute might be faster. I think fluting's probably faster. Fluting to one than saving and quitting from Spiral Cave.
From spiral?
There's only one screen that you walk out of, right? And then you
Okay.
flute over there. I
Okay.
don't know exactly. That's my guess.
I mean, I think in the heat of the moment, I like I very
I
once
think
I
fluting
have the
no, I
flute,
think fluting has to be faster because when you save and quit, you have to walk out of Old Man Cave, right?
yeah.
That's got to be faster to flute.
Okay. That's right, because screen transitions are like 5 seconds or something.
Yeah.
Okay. So thankful for our conversation because we actually we said that it's either um the mirror is either on Pyramid Ledge or it was in the right side, the East Death Mountain.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or in
In
Eastern
the
Palace.
Eastern,
Okay.
yeah.
So let's grab the hammer.
And while we're grabbing the hammer, there's also one other important thing to do, which is our Dark World Nap check.
Okay. Yes, actually, because we are in here real quick. So let's
Yep.
actually do that.
Can be relevant. Yeah.
So Pod is a pendant, Skullwoods is a pendant, and Turtlewalk and Thieves are our
Or spot is a pendant because you have the hammer and the bow.
yeah. um, yeah, so I think after this, assuming we get nothing in Hera, my next plan would be go straight to Aga. Oh wait, no, we need the lamp.
You need the lamp put it in logic.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
let's do Hera
I
first.
hate hate Agadar.
Okay. Yeah.
So I would say that so without lamp, my next thing to do would be Eastern.
I think even with the lamp, there's a lot of people who would say just do Eastern because
Oh
your
yeah, that's
gloves
true
in
because
your gloves in
we're
Eastern, you just did Aga for no reason, right?
yeah, because we're only one item
Yeah.
from Go or not Go, but like
Dark
Dark
World.
World.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're one item from Dark World and you have the pearl, you better clear out everything.
Yeah, that said, there are a lot of people who would argue, we got this Master Sword and this cape. It really looks like an Aga seed, right? We got the perfect storm of flippers, hookshot for Dark World access, right? Well, there are a lot of people who would say this really looks like an Aga seed, and they would skip Eastern.
Yeah.
So it kind of
Well,
depends on whether you want to take that
yeah,
risk.
let's see what's in
Let's see what's in Hera. So remember, can't get what's in the basement here, right?
right, because we don't have
No fire source.
fire source. So we're crossing our
You know how to
fingers.
Herapot?
I do know Harapot,
All right.
so we're crossing our fingers that the big key is here.
Well, even if the big key's not here, we can still get to Moldorm, right? Because Herapot.
This is true, but then you're abandoning something in the
Maybe.
big chest.
You could hope that it's a map or compass. So let's see.
Yeah. I still, yeah, like in this perspective, like I'm hoping, but given that Moldorm is a crystal, I would still do
Yeah,
Moldorm.
you're still gonna do Moldorm.
Yeah, and I'll just come back later if I was just if I was desperate for
If you
those
have to, yeah.
two items. Okay.
Let's suck at your gloves.
Compass.
Nothing's here. So mirror there, and then okay.
Big key. Okay, great.
Usually
So
a good sign.
yeah,
But
so
there
let's
could still be
do
something in the basement.
Could still, yes, of course, could still be something in the basement, but at least we're not leaving. So like getting back to the basement is way faster than having to go all the way up for big chest and then come back down for basement.
Yeah, because you have to hairpot again. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So
So
your hairpot. Yeah.
now quick question. Maybe
Is it about the big chest?
it's about getting to the big chest from above.
Yeah.
What I typically do is no matter what my item loadout is, I will go flip the star switch on the ground and fall down onto the big chest
So
because
if you have the boots and the hook shot specifically, you don't have to do that.
yeah. And
You need both.
frankly, like one of the just in terms of like reducing cognitive load, right? Like
Sure.
I think that I just want to jettison that possibility out of my
Sure,
brain
that's fine. That's fine.
because it saves like just a couple of seconds and happens rarely. I mean, I guess it happens more often in casual
And
boots.
kettle boots, yeah. But yeah, you hook shot over and then bonk, you and then bonk
Yeah.
just yeah.
Yeah, I do this.
You gotta be clean on your execution though, because otherwise the spark hits you and then you're really
Yeah.
sad.
Okay, let's hope for two items. Big key or a small key and one rupee.
Okay.
All right, let's hope
So fun.
for the other item on Moldorm. Got the lamp.
All right.
Okay.
So we got our lamp.
So from
Now
this,
we got a choice.
yes. So from this perspective, given that I have the lamp,
You gonna pull the trigger
I'm
on Aga, or you want to still hope for a glove in Eastern?
so here's the thing, right? From where we are, given that pendant pod is a pendant, I'm tempted to dip pod as my first thing because pod is 5 checks and it's like I don't have the glove. It's potentially going to get a little bit more convenient later because once I get the glove.
Hmm.
But I mean, and then there's the meme that like pendant pod always has progression.
Hey, yeah, yeah.
Um, but I'm tempted to beeline pod in this situation.
Hmm.
And
I have a counter argument.
I know that you have a counter argument because I watched your VOD recently and you didn't do pendant pod first. So
Not about no, oh yeah, well, there's that too, but I actually have a better counter argument in this case.
okay.
Once you do Aga, if you're gonna do Aga, you have uh not only Thieves Town as fully clearable, but also a different crystal dungeon that you can full clear.
We also have swamp.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, and we can like getting back, like assuming that the glove is just in at some point in the future, right? Um, it's going to be just as easy later to get to pod as it is now, right?
Yeah.
Because we can always flute to 4 and use the
There.
Agate
Yeah.
Tower portal to get over to pod.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, I really like that.
Yeah, because I think the thing is, so if I mean, I'm still not. We still have to talk about whether you want to go into Eastern or do Aga. But let's say you go ahead and do Aga. If you go through the whole Dark World loop, right? Do Thieves Town, do Hype Cave, do Swamp Palace. Then, if you still don't have your glove, God forbid, you know it's probably in pod, and it's really easy to just save and quit to the pyramid and then go there, right?
Yeah. So in this moment, I'm tempted to not do Eastern only because if I end up doing pod, comboing the two together, very straightforward. So now here's a potential brain buster. Not really, but like we now have Dark Cross access, potentially to back of escape
Mm-hmm.
access, and
Yeah,
we're
I would 100%.
walking there right now anyways, and we have the mirror.
Yeah, so 100% do that first.
Okay,
I
cool.
think if it was me in this situation, I would play it safe with Aga and I would probably still go to Eastern first. But I think your play is equally valid. The only reason is because this really looks like an Aga seed and it's setting
Yeah.
off the alarm bells.
Um,
Let's go with what you want
okay,
to do.
let's make the play and see
And
how it plays
if
out.
yeah, if the glove is in Eastern Palace, I'll laugh and say I told you so. But
I mean, I was actually just recently having this conversation with Bitey, my other one of my other mentors, and we had this long conversation about when do you do AGA or
mhm.
when like do you rush AGA or do you
Where do you last locate? I got
fast locate AGA? And I don't have our notes in front of me, but I do remember that if you don't have Pearl, you last location AGA.
for sure.
And if you do have Pearl, and
Then you got
especially
some
since
room.
we have um, other ways, lots of access to Dark World right now.
Yeah, that's really what sets it off. Yeah, the hook shot and plus flippers. Yeah,
Okay, so let's do it and see what
yeah, let's do it.
happens. Escape Darkroom Chests, Pegasus Boots, pay out, pay out.
So,
Okay, so let's do Aga
are you gonna
Tower.
do Aga first, or are you gonna check that? Your glove could be there.
Oh, that's right. Fuck. There we have. Sorry. Let's actually go back to this main.
Oh my, that's great.
So we have the Bonk Rocks now.
That's great. Oh my, this is
Um,
this is a toughie.
yeah, like I'm tempted to.
I'd
So
probably check it because you're mirroring to the front of escape anyways, right?
yeah, so we're mirroring to front of escape, but here's the second thing, right? If we do Aga right now, okay. So I mean, this is probably the wrong
You do
question,
save a
right?
walk to
Because
Aga. Yeah, it's yeah. I don't know.
because if gloves are in Bonk Rock and we did Aga, then that was just the wrong move entirely.
Yeah, that was then
So
you just lost a ton of time, right?
yeah,
So
so like the calculus I was about to do, I was like, you know what? We're just about to walk over there anyways, or technically dash over there, right? Like we're going
yeah,
to be walking, and we have the mirror. Let's just mirror to Bonk Rocks.
unless
But
it's the
since we're
glove, yeah.
still like we are desperately clinging to the no, like not having to waste 5 minutes on Aga.
Yeah,
So
maybe.
I'd
Yeah,
say
so
do it.
it's just up to you, really.
I
I think
mean,
they're okay.
the actual result in this seed is less interesting to me than the conversation.
This is a tough one. Yeah,
Yeah,
because you did choose to go to stay out of Eastern, right?
yeah,
So maybe you can make the same argument and stay out of Bonk Rocks, but Bonk Rocks is less costly.
yeah.
Maybe it's fine to just check Bonk Rocks.
Let's do it.
Okay. I don't know. By the way, I have no idea what the fastest way to Bonk Rocks is from Dark Cross. It might be faster to save and quit to Sank versus
Yeah.
mirroring and then fluting to CAC.
Yeah,
I have
yeah,
no
yeah.
idea.
I think that saving and quitting to Sank would be the choice there.
Probably what I would guess. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's gotta be fast. Probably
I
faster.
mean,
Probably faster. Okay, so you didn't get it, so we're doing Aga.
yeah.
All right, let's do it. It's actually good. I think you're gonna have an advantage in any seat that's an Aga because Rando runners never practice Aga, and you do it every time you do an NMD. So
Yeah. So I don't do as much like like I did a couple of NMG runs and
okay.
both of them I died twice. And so I'm like taking a break from actually
Oh,
doing
okay, okay, okay.
runs and I'm like actually practicing the individual segments until
Got
I
it.
can get good enough to like complete the whole thing without dying. So yes, I have definitely practiced Aga probably the more than the average person.
Generally more than yeah, because random players they're just like, oh no, I have to do Aga. How do I get through this maze? Ah.
Yeah. Okay, Aga Tower first chest this is gonna be our key.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's lit. We don't have, I have to dash through this fucking maze. Okay, other key. This is all straightforward. There's nothing here for us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
now here we are. So first thing to do, obviously, is
Pyramid ledge.
check pyramid ledge.
Ta-da.
And we have the so we'll let's hook shot across. Let's check graveyard ledge.
You gotta swim through the narrow canal, right? The sucky path. Or have you never done
Uh
this before? Oh, you've never run into these seats. Oh,
no, no, no,
but
no, wait. We don't have to. We can't.
no, you can't walk up there and hook shot because there are rocks in the way and you have no glove.
Oh, so I'd have to jump off the
Yeah,
thing.
you actually have to swim.
Yeah, I couldn't remember just by like looking at the map. I couldn't remember
Yeah.
if the broken bridge was above or below.
Once you do it
So
once, you'll remember.
yeah,
It's a sucky swim.
I mean, now that you mention it, like I think I've even done that recently. I
Okay.
just like looking at this map, like
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
couldn't
yeah.
see
All
that
right.
it was that was true. Okay, so let's check Graveyard Ledge while we're here.
Hmm?
Um, so from here,
Yeah.
let's talk about doing bumper skull. So
Let's talk about Skull Woods. Yeah.
I'm tempted that we have these two crystals easily available.
Hmm.
Um, but getting back to skull
Takes a while, right?
is from right now, right? Like if we had to like save and quit back to Light World and get back, if we were in Link's
Yeah.
house, getting back to skull was a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So I'm tempted to do the front right now.
I would do the same. As a general rule, when you have sucky Darkworld access like we do right now, try to be more thorough.
Okay.
Because, like you said, it's going to take a while to walk back.
Yeah. All
That
right.
said,
So
if you want to play it more aggressively and say, I have my two clearable crystals and hype cave, there's a lot of density there. Maybe my glove is there, and then I can just avoid Skullwood's pendant dungeon. It does take a lot of time. It's
it
pretty
does.
inefficient in terms of items, but at the same time, there is the always, never skip Skullwoods. So
Yeah.
there's various factors. But yeah, let's do it. Let's go and Skull.
Okay.
Would
So let's
you
check
check
let's
this on
check
the way?
bumper, see what's up
Yeah,
there.
sure.
Nothing. I'm sorry. I
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
started talking and I spoke over you. I apologize.
No, yeah, yeah. You got it.
Okay. So let's do front skull.
How do you want to
Um,
route this?
so here is my general skull woods routing strategy. I go to the back first, get the mummy key, get
Get
the
the
mummy
key. Yeah,
chest,
sure.
and if I don't get a key there, I steal the pot key. And that way I can get in
Yeah,
and out of the front of skull without
yeah,
any like
yeah.
bullshit.
Without having to like double. Yeah. Go ahead and
Because
do it. I have no answer for you which route is better. Someday I'll calculate it based on odds,
okay,
but
so we
that
got
is
our three
not
bombs, which means we're
that's not
stealing the
today.
key.
I usually go in this front skull entrance and hope for a key, but when it doesn't work out, it sucks. So
I mean,
I think you're
realistic. So like here's a thought, right? I've got the mirror. Getting into this, getting to
yeah,
this chest, it like I'm gonna mirror after this chest.
yep.
So I could go in, grab this chest, and it wouldn't actually cost me any time, right? Because
Yeah,
that like
I
either
guess.
way, I'm doing that whole walk if I
It's
do it
just
quickly by
yeah,
quickly.
it's literally just the extra transition in and out of the dungeon. So yeah, I guess you know what? My route is better. I don't know. I
uh,
really would have to time it and like what's the probability that this is like a small key and how much time does it lose you? There's
yeah.
no way to.
Right? Because we only do the back first so that we get enough, so that we make sure that we have
Yeah, yeah,
keys
yeah, yeah,
to
yeah. So
fully
yeah,
like.
maybe I'm gonna start doing that. Maybe with the mirror, I'll always go in the front, but maybe without the mirror, I'll go and steal the key. Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
Okay, cool. And I was that's one of the things that I was hoping from this conversation too was that you would get some that this discussion would be interesting to you.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
let's check this. So in this case, we would not have. Well, actually, no. We would come back and we're going to do this,
yeah.
and we would have gotten the small keys. So
Okay.
we would that. I mean, that being said, like doing going to like no, because we wouldn't go to the back if we got two items in the front.
Yeah, and then you'd save a
Save
lot
a,
of time.
save
Yeah.
a bunch of time. So I think that with a mirror, doing this is potentially going to save you a ton of time, and at worst, isn't going to
Worst
cost you
doesn't
any
cost you
time.
that much. Yeah, because you have to walk past the entrance anyways. So yeah, I buy it. Yeah,
Okay.
solid reasoning.
So let's go through here. Doop a doo. Another Skullwoods key. Doop a doo. Map. Okay.
All right, so
So,
second line's in the back.
well, no. So we've gotten everything that we can out of Skullwoods.
Yeah, so second item is in the
That's
fireloft.
right. That
Yeah,
I'm sorry. You said that the second item is in the back.
yeah,
I
the
thought you said,
backpack.
yeah.
All
Okay,
right.
so let's leave the dungeon, and I think that we're going to Village of Outcasts.
Yeah.
So knowing that I'm going south from here, and I already have the hammer, my route would be chest game, thieves, C shape
Well,
down to.
remember, you're coming from Skullwoods, and the fastest way from Skullwoods Village Outcast is
Oh, right.
That
Sorry, I'm
screen. So you're
coming.
gonna come out from the right side. So
Yeah. So I would go C shape house, Thieves Town, chess game to brewery.
I would actually do this really small. I would do chess game before Thieves Town. It's like you think it makes zero difference. It makes a slight difference
Okay.
because if you find a glove in chess game, it will make Thieves Town faster.
Okay. Um,
Because Thieves Town, there is the screen in the basement where having a glove
yeah.
will let you lift the boulder, lift the block. If you don't have a glove, you're gonna have to kill all enemies and then go a long way. So it can actually be relevant.
And that might even be some good optimization. Like that might just be like a good general route
It
anyways.
is a good general route to just check those two before Thieves Town because like you have either way, it's the same like horizontal map.
Yeah, as we were just talking about with Skull, right? Like you literally would have to do that walk no matter which way you're
Yeah, yeah,
going.
yeah.
So you might as well get like I 8 hearts with Master Sword for me, like Thieves is a cakewalk. But if I was coming here with
Yeah,
like
but
four
still,
hearts,
might as well.
yeah. If I was coming like, can we make our next dungeon any easier or any more
Yep.
valuable? I think that's a good thing to say. Have this big list of notes that I try to read right before every rando seed. It just keeps getting longer and longer. I find myself like, oh, I know that now. I don't have to remember that one. Okay, so let's do C shape, chest, and you get
Is I
and
feel
you
bad
get
for
it.
going to Skull Woods, but I think that's fine.
I mean, Skullwoods could still have uh could still have something in it.
Oh
So
gosh, I hope not. But yeah,
so it wasn't like an entire waste of time, but it was close.
yeah.
Um, yes, and now we're paying out like not going to Eastern, right?
Hopefully,
I mean, unless there's another glove in
then there's
Eastern.
another glove that could be there, but hopefully, yeah.
Yeah.
Signs
Okay.
are looking good.
Yeah. So let's go into thieves. Uh,
Yeah, you're just gonna full clear this. So boom, 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 boom. Yeah,
yeah. I'm trying like okay. I'm not used to it. See it from this direction. I'm like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah,
one,
yeah.
two, three, four.
Mhm.
Then we're up to here. Grab the key
Mhm.
into the back,
Yep.
the attic, bottom of the thing. Grab the chest. Go down to the basement. Okay,
And look, you saved some time because you have a
we saved
glove.
some time. Kill the dudes. This is like I'm very like I have had so many runs where I needed the hearts from this room. I'm very grateful for this room.
Yeah.
It's funny,
Once you
like
make it here,
there aren't very many rooms in this game where I'm like, oh, thank God that room is coming.
yeah,
But this
yeah,
is
yeah,
one of
yeah,
them.
yeah,
Because like after Hellway, man, you're down to like 3 hearts or something. Like,
yeah, yeah.
okay, so
Well,
let's
you did have the cape, so you could use that in Hellway. You just got to make sure not to soft lock.
yeah.
All
I
right.
always forget I forget the places where I can use my cape and burna.
Cape
Okay,
is the best
so
item in the game.
huh?
Cape is the best item in the game. I have
Well,
a
and
1 hour long video talking about the cape. I love it.
Burna is a lot more viable now that we have fast roam.
Yeah, but cape's still
I
better.
understand. Okay, so we don't have a key. So
Yep.
I'm glad that I noticed that we have a key before we got all the way to the spot where the room is.
Yeah.
So let's just go to blind. Kaboom.
Boom. Perfect blind script. Good job.
Yay. Bombable hut.
Here we're just gonna continue onward, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so just gonna keep going south. Check the digging game. Check Stumpy. South of
I usually
Grove.
see people do K45 before stumping, but whatever.
Okay.
I actually haven't timed it, so that's just what I see people do.
I
I don't
mean,
know. I would have to time it. It
yeah, in
depends.
this case,
It really depends on like the dash lines. I don't know.
yeah, in this case, I probably would have done K45 before,
K45, yeah, you're just clicking things, yeah.
but it just
So
yeah.
now Hype Cave or Swamp first?
I'm gonna do Hype Cave first because I hate Argus with Master Sword.
Okay, that's a good reason. Another reason is just because Swamp Palace, there's the left side swamp
Yeah, that's
question,
true.
left side swamp conundrum. If you get your mitts something in Hype Cave, that can give you a lot more information about what you're doing next.
Yeah, okay. Just the
Nothing,
boomerang.
just a boomerang.
I have to get used to the fact that the red boomerang is now viable for things.
All
Okay, so off to
right,
swamp.
swamp.
Okay, that's one item.
And did you do Specky Clip?
I did.
You know Specky Clip.
Yeah. Specky
When you
clip.
do Specky Clip, do you grab the key in that hallway or do you skip it?
So you and I actually, I think, talked about
Oh, I
this.
already talked about this. Okay, you already know.
Yeah, because I think that we had the conversation where I was like, I steal the Specky clip, and you were reviewing my VOD, and you're like, don't steal the Specky clip. I got a whole video on this.
Yeah, yeah, it's the slowest key. So the first time through Swamp Palace, never get it. If you're there the
Yeah.
second time, always get it.
Yeah,
So,
because remember we were talking about like how the if you only have bombs and you're trying to do diver down, like the bomb fuse might change the calculations, but it's we
no,
decided that
it's
it's
still
not worth
slower. Yeah,
we decided that it's not worth the frames saved to try and like remember all this shit. Okay,
yeah. All right.
so since I got one item in the front, I'm tempted to do the compass chest and then go straight to the back because uh,
Because
my reasoning is that
because you
uh,
didn't see a map or compass yet, so you don't
we
know which
haven't
way
seen
to
a map
go.
or a compass yet,
Okay. Well,
and
why don't you check compass chest first, and then we'll talk about it.
well, okay, so the reason why I'm talking about this now is because if that first item had been a, like, let's say the compass, then
Oh, you'd go straight to left side, so
I would
you'd
go
commit.
up and over this way straight to left side because that's faster than
Yeah,
going
you'd
down
commit.
here and
Yeah,
then
so
doing it
you'd
there.
say that's enough for you to want to do left side swamp the first time through, no matter what.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, unless I was like one from go, you know?
Yeah, when you're one from go, you always go to the back. So I think the thing about left side swamp is you want to look at what is your next plan of action, right? And you want to look for so if you do left side swamp the first time through the dungeon, it is usually faster overall, with an asterisk because right, the Argus has the big key, and then you're really sad because you have to go back for the big chest. But usually
Yeah.
it's faster by about 18 seconds or 20 seconds or something like that, right? So you want to try and save that time.
Yeah.
The
Unless
advantage
nothing's
to
over
going
there.
to the back first is maybe you get to skip left side swamp, right?
Yeah.
But in order for that to really make sense, you got to think about like, okay, either I'm skipping left side swamp no matter what because I have other things to do, like pod Eastern, right? That's a
Yeah.
good reason. Or maybe there's some items that you could find in the back which will make you say, I never want to go back to left side swamp again. For example,
Yeah.
your mitts, right?
Yeah. So right now I'm uh okay, so from that perspective, you saying like doing left side swamp first, the first time around saves about 20 seconds over going to the back and then coming back through for a left side swamp the second time, right?
Yes.
So from that perspective, given how many items that we still need, I'm gonna say that we do left side swamp this first time.
Okay. I don't think there's a right answer here. Left
Yeah.
side swamp is a very divisive issue. I personally would go to the back first. So, okay, well, now we got the big chest.
Yeah. So let's see what's in here. Okay, so from
So there's at least one thing on left side.
yeah, there's at least one thing on left side. We still need a ton, so I'm gonna let's do it.
You're gonna do it? Okay.
I don't think that Z3R Sim does diver down, so we have to go.
Oh, you're right. You're right. 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 So you're just gonna have to click and pretend you're doing that or down. Yeah. I almost never do left side swamp the first time nowadays. I haven't done all the calculations, but like I think this is a pretty good place to do it because you already got the big key. I just like hate dealing with like having to go back in for the big key and stuff. And
Yeah. So I've gotten like back when I played 5 years ago, I never skipped left side swamp. Um,
that was before Specky Clip.
but yeah, that was before Spiky
That
Clip.
makes a big
So
difference.
now I'm more likely to skip it. But given that
Good.
this is only like our third crystal dungeon, um, I'm tempted to still be in like full clear mode, right? Like I'm not in. like whatever's fastest calculation yet. I'm in
Yeah,
the
I mean, I think that's totally valid. Yeah, let's see if it works out. And whether I lose the seed or whether you just lost 2 minutes. Oh, you win. All right, I lose. I'd be full clearing pod and Eastern, wasting a whole bunch of time. I don't know. Maybe pod has something important, but yeah. All right, good job.
um by the way, like I've noticed that we've been talking for about an hour and a half now. I didn't really plan on how long this was going to take. I didn't think it was going to take us this long, but of course this is totally fine, right? Because I am super happy to
As
be,
long as it's helpful, right? Which it sounds like it is.
yeah. I love getting into these in-depth conversations, but I do want to respect your time. Do you have a hard stop tonight at any point?
No, why don't I take a bathroom break and then we'll finish out this seed and see where we're at.
Okay.
Or at least
Uh,
until go mode, right?
yes, of course. I think that,
There's no point in like just clicking boxes in GT, like right.
yeah.
Right. All right. I'll
Um,
be right back.
okay.
All right. I'm pretty sure I would have skipped left side swamp here,
Okay.
and
Well,
I would
like
have
that's
it
the
would have
point,
sucked for me.
right? Like,
But I think that's what I would have done. I would have said it would have been conflict. I would have felt conflicted, but I would have left and done pod eastern and go out for that density and then come back for left side swamp. That's what I would have done.
hmm. Okay. So I just moved us back to the main hub. There was no reason for us to talk about those two screens. So I think from here there's no real conversation, right? Like we just go to
Yeah.
the end of swamp.
Yep.
Doop doop doo.
The real conversation is going to be what's next.
Yeah.
And now we got our mitts. All right. So
Okay.
just the mitts that we got.
So one of the things that I don't like about Z3R Sim is that they do the weird thing where you have to like click on the right mirror portals, so it doesn't always tell you exactly what you have access to.
Oh, sure.
So I know that we have ice access. No, we don't have ice access. Never mind.
Yeah,
Uh,
missing almost a fire rod. Yeah.
yeah. Uh, so I think from this perspective, the what's available is Meyer area,
Mm-hmm.
Smith
And
Chain, and Dark Death Mountain.
and
Oh, and Pot Eastern.
and we got a fully clear bowl crystal actually. No, we don't. You don't have fire source. I was gonna say desert. Never mind. Oh, we do have the fire source. We have the land. So desert is fully clear.
Yeah. Okay, so from that I also hate that it doesn't show you the light world and the dark world at the same time, so you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
make
yeah.
this decisions. But I think that our next bet is to do Meyer area into desert.
Totally agree.
Okay, check the Meyer pendant.
Mm-hmm.
Bombos.
So we're gonna need
It's not,
that nice
it's not
sword.
under the mat, but tempered is, so that was helpful. Checkerboard cave is magic powder. I'll take that.
Interesting. Okay.
So let's mirror to light world and
Yep.
do
Desert.
and I let's do this,
Yep.
then this. Oh,
Wow. Okay.
there we go. Um,
And then your big key is gonna be on the right.
and that's all of
Last
our
item.
items. So we can go straight to Moldor.
Or Lamo. Yeah.
I'm sorry, uh, Landmo, not Moldor.
Yeah. Can you imagine 3 Moldorms flying at you?
You know, I wish that Rando had an option for the randomized number of Landmo eyes, because that's always like it's like my favorite part of Enemizer is the random
Hmm.
number of Landmo eyes. Um, okay,
Okay, so we
so
got what did we get? We got something.
we got just the gold sword.
Just a gold. Okay.
So what we have available is Smith Chain, Pod, Eastern, and Dark Death Mountain.
And
We've got
also
the Back of Escape, and we've
back
got King's Tomb.
King's Tomb, yeah. And our book is also accessible.
Yes. So knowing that the book is on the mountain, I'm tempted to get the book before Smith Chain because that just adds like one extra check to the end of Smith Chain.
Makes
especially since
sense.
we have the flute.
Makes sense.
Wait, no, we can't do that if we have the flute. So we would
Well,
have to
yeah, you wouldn't be using the flute in
yeah.
this case.
I always think the purple chest is really easy because when you have the flute, but if we're comboing in Bombo's tablet,
Common
then
boundless. Yeah, you have to dash over.
yeah. So thank you for the invisible purple chest glitch. Okay, so let's I'm just gonna swap back and forth between Light World and Dark World to
Mhm.
so we've got Smith Chain and Dark Death Mountain and Pod Eastern basically as our options. And I like Dark Death Mountain as my option. How about you?
What about Back Escape in Kingston?
Um, Actually, yes. So I
Right.
think that
Those are your
Back of
free
Escape and
checks right
King's
now.
Tomb are like very fast.
Those are your free checks right now because you're always going to save and quit out of Back Escape no matter what.
Yeah. So let's do King's Tomb.
Yeah. In fact, I guess so. I wonder if you would have done those before Mire Desert because you were in. So you were in. You just came out of Swamp, right?
Yeah.
Um. Yeah, I think you would have out of Swamp, used the mirror, and then flute to two to the potion shop, dash left, get King's Tomb, and then back escape. And then after that, go to Mire Desert. I think that's would have been right.
Is that because we're hoping for the Meyer access?
Um, yeah, it's just like just because King's Tomb and back escape are our free checks right now.
Yeah. So from a save and quit, it's even freer. So like going into I mean, I guess either way, you know, like
Yeah, I
you're
guess
either
it's
saving
an
and
interesting
quitting
timing
from
difference. Yeah, I'm not
what?
sure. So I do know that if you're just in the light world overworld somewhere, it is faster to flute to two and dash left than to save and quit to sync to get to King's Tomb.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know.
I mean, you know, again, that's it's good to remember like um
Yeah, but I'll probably do those first just because like you could find yeah, I mean you could find something relevant. Like you could find your I guess you could find your like fire rod that makes your Lando fight better, right?
yeah.
So
So just trying to expand my vocabulary here. So when we call something a free check, we're basically saying that there is no downside to doing this right now.
yeah.
And it has potential upside for the future. Yeah, because
Yes.
everything always has potential upside for the future.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do backup escape as well. We
Okay.
got Kane of Samaria.
Smart. Yeah. Okay.
So that's cool. All
So
right.
back to where we were before. You said you wanted to go up the mountain to grab the book first before doing all of Smith Chain because you wanted to combo Smith Chain Thamos tablet, right?
Yes.
I think that still makes sense here. The one I'm trying to think if there's an argument for doing it the other way. I think I would do that too. The checks on the mountain are also more efficient in terms of seconds per check than Smith Chain. I know that for a fact.
Hmm.
The one way this doesn't work out is if you're like your progression is in TR and like your fire rod is on Smith Chain, because then
Yeah.
you'd be having to do another climb up the mountain. But I don't think that's enough to change the decision here.
Yeah, I think that knowing how far away I am from, if I was like only one item from TR, that I think it would be a different
Oh yeah,
calculation.
that's right. You don't even have medallions, so yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna do it. Let's go up to the Dark World portal.
Wrong
Check.
one, actually.
What do you mean?
So which Dark World portal are you going to use?
Um, so generally the heuristic that I know is that I've already done Death Mountain, so I can't combo in Dark Death Mountain and Light Death Mountain
Yep.
by doing the portal that's down here, right? So if all I'm doing is Dark Death Mountain, then I've been told that doing the TR portal is faster and the Super Bunny portal is safer.
Okay, I think you might be thinking about getting to GT, because that is true for that. But for getting these items, for getting Super Money Cave, Hookshot Cave, and maybe a TR Medallion check,
Mhm.
it is always faster to take the Super Money Portal.
Oh, okay.
Important caveat, it's also because even if you want to open TR here, you have the mirror. If you
Yeah.
didn't have the mirror, it would be a toss up because, well, you have no medallion, so that actually doesn't even matter. But if you had a medallion, then you might want to open up TR because remember, you do have Samaria,
Yeah.
then you better take the TR portal because you have no mirror, right? So you have to take the TR portal if you want to open up TR. But it is going to be faster if you just want to collect the items to go through the Super Bunny portal. And I have a video as proof of this, so you can't say I'm wrong. I have the
I
times.
I had not, so like the second half of the sentence, that like TR portal is faster if you're going to GT, like nobody had said that if you're going to GT part. So that totally makes sense to me because
Yeah,
this, right? Like you're climbing the mountain. Why would you climb the mountain in the light world and then go down the mountain in the dark world to collect Super Bunny, right?
right. Yeah, you kind of get to climb up while you're doing the Super Bunny checks, right? So
Yeah.
it ends up being faster. Yeah,
Yeah, so that you skip wandering through like all of Paradox.
yeah. So it is faster.
Um,
Even if you're interested in going into TR, if you have the mirror, it's always faster to take Super Bunny. Even though you have to do an extra mirror portal to
yeah.
get to the TR, it's faster this way. Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know if I have that video, but I'm pretty sure. You can
Yeah,
just take the numbers from my other video and then just add the mirror transition. I think it still works out.
like for me, like these conversations are never about saving frames. For me, these conversations are about like saving 20 minutes because I chose the right next crystal dungeon, right?
Sure,
Like,
sure.
and you can never, I mean, it's random, right? You'll never get it right 100% of the time, but like,
Well, you'll be more efficient.
yeah, I could see myself doing Smith Chain before Dark Death Mountain because I'm always just thinking like Dark Death Mountain like costs to climb the mountain. But here it's like so dense compared to
It is. It is for sure.
Smith and with the extra book. Um
And with the book, yeah. I even have the number. I even have the numbers on it because I'm a freak like that.
yeah.
Uh, if you do Super Bunny Cave plus Hookshot Cave, you're averaging to 15 seconds per check. Smith Chain K45 Vamos, that's with K45. I guess you have Magic Bat. It's 39 seconds per check. So it's quite a bit more efficient.
Even with the GT, even with the mountain climb.
This is starting from a saving quit.
Okay, cool.
Uh,
Um
and of course, the numbers are going to be a little bit fudged because your equipment loadout and the exact number of checks, but it's a big difference. Like Dark World Death Mountain checks are very efficient.
yeah, I mean, even I could imagine even if you were routing in uh like because the only part of the Smith chain that we've really done is Stumpy and K45, right? Like even if you
Yeah,
added in Stumpy and K45, you're still not going to
still,
be.
yeah, still, yeah. Yeah, I have these numbers because I was curious what the average what the efficiency looked like between like these sets of overworld checks and dungeon checks. That's kind of
Yeah.
what I wanted to figure out with these numbers because I don't know if you have a sense for Swamp Palace has 6 items, but Smith Chain maybe also has 6 items, right? It's like which
Yeah.
one of these is more efficient in terms of checks per second? In general, the overworld strings are more efficient.
Yeah. I've been somebody told me recently that dungeon checks are more valuable.
That is, I think, true. So it's hard to quantify that exactly. I do know that that is kind of true. So I don't have a calculus on exactly how to weigh it. I just know like the raw check density.
Yeah.
There's
And
there's
one of the
something like
things
crazy about the algorithm that yeah.
Well, and one of the things to pay attention to is that, okay, so let's say, Pod has 5 chests, and you're like, Smith Chain has 5 chests, Pod has 5 chests. Which one's going to be more valuable? Well, Pod, right? Because it's a dungeon, but Pod
But
doesn't
is it
have
worth the
five,
extra time? Yeah.
Pod doesn't have 5 items. Like,
Pod has
or
five
it has
items.
5 checks. It has 5 items, but it might have like 10 chests, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, I think, yeah,
That's
I'm
I am factoring that into my calculus. Yeah.
okay.
So
All right, so
very
Dark Death
nice.
Mountain, here we
Dark
go.
Death Mountain. Super
Let's
Bunny. So Super Bunny portal. So we're gonna check Super Bunny first.
okay, so let's go back to Light World, and I'm going to use the Super Bunny portal.
Yep.
So we do Super Bunny first, Blue Shield, whoop,
Okay.
Hookshot Cave,
Yep.
TR, and then Spike Cave. What do you
Don't forget the book.
and don't forget the book. So Hookshot Cave, bottom chest, Hookshot Cave,
Almost.
almost.
Okay. Cool.
And let's mirror to
That's
Light
big.
World and get our book
The book.
back to do. And then let's check the TR
Medallion. That's important. Okay. So we're gonna need
TR's
ether.
ether.
And
And
then we're still
then
gonna dash across and do Spike Cave.
yeah, but first we're gonna do ether
Ether
tablet.
tablet. Yeah. Cool.
Single arrow, always
Uh-huh.
helpful. And then Spike Cave.
Okay.
All
So
right.
now we have Bombos.
We have Bombos. So I would argue that our next stop should be Ice Palace.
Perfect.
Okay. Mirror Light World. Well, this would be a save and quit.
Yeah, it kind of sucks because you'd save and quit. You'd start at the pyramid. You'd have to mirror and then flute.
Yeah.
There's no way around that.
Yeah, I mean,
You don't want to walk out of Spike Cave.
you don't want to walk by Spike Cave. What is even in Spike Cave in the vanilla game? Is it a heart piece?
It's the isn't it the other like Berna or Cape, the other one? It's
It
like
might
Cape,
be
right?
it might be Berna because it isn't Cape. Wait,
I
shit.
always get the two confused. But whichever one you don't have when you go to Spike Cave, it's the other one.
Okay, at least it's something valuable and it's not just a
Yeah,
fucking
it's not
heart
just
piece.
like
I was
I
playing this game
think.
vanilla with a friend of mine because she had never played it and she loves Zelda. And I was like, oh hey, let me show you all of the like cool. So I like go into Hype Cave and I go into like Paradox Cave to show her all of these cool things, and it's just like fucking rupees in
Yeah,
there.
it's just rupees and bombs.
Okay. I don't think that this sim accounts for icebreaker, so we're just going to do the long way.
Yeah, you could pretend. Yeah.
I also can IPBJ like, you know, forever because we didn't have icebreaker back in the day. So I just,
I was back. Yeah, I was there back then too.
oh, you were back. You were then there back then. Yeah, I just did like 1,000 reps of IPBJ, and I have to remind myself how to do it, but I had to do it in like my first seed back, and it like took me 2 tries, and I got it. So I think I'm pretty comfortable with it. So let's see what's here. Big key. I don't
See?
think that necessarily changes any.
Now the question is, do you so let's assume you're actually doing icebreaker, even though you're going a long way.
Yeah.
You hit the switch or not?
I do not because I'm not in go mode.
Yeah, good.
Um,
So same thing here. You're gonna pretend you're doing icebreaker by going the long way. Yep. You can even keep going and not check these. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So now we're here,
So you just did an icebreaker. Yep.
and then this chest, key, this chest. Okay. 2 items. We've got the big key. We've got this key. We still need one more key though, because we hit the switch.
Sure. Yeah.
So we're just gonna. I made this mistake the other day. I was like, "Sweet, I got my second item. I'm out of here." It got all the way to
there's three
Cold Stare
items.
without the second key. Um. Okay, so we got our key. So we're good to go. We're
Now,
just.
well, I mean, do you know which way to go here? So you're still looking for one more item, right?
No, we got 2 items. Oh
Ice
wait,
Palace has 3 items.
shit. Okay, so yeah, sorry. I wasn't like looking at the thing. I was just
Yeah.
like,
So
oh
that's
yeah,
fine.
Ice Palace has 2 items. So thank you for reminding me because I would have just like booked it to the end. So yeah, so from this perspective, we have a key. So I'm going to Ice Tea first.
No. It's faster to check the big chest first.
Okay, so this is like a big conversation that I have with myself then because are you because so like
So
it's
both in the average case and in the worst case, this is faster.
okay, so doing the long way around Ice Tea is faster than bomb jumping over.
Remember, it's not the super long way because the pegs are going to be clear for you to dash through the room before cold stair. So it's not the super long way where you have to push the block and then go up all the stairs, and that takes a while.
So yeah, so from that perspective, I guess iced tea isn't this, it's not the super long way to iced tea.
It's not the super long way, yeah. So icebreaker routing is actually pretty easy to remember. If you ever have a big key here, always do the big chest first. It's always the same.
Okay.
When you're doing, if you have hit the switch and you're doing Ice Palace Bomb Jump, then it's a little tricky because it depends a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I feel comfortable with my ice. Like that's the one that's, you know, like in the muscle memory.
Yeah, I will say I have like an hour long video, probably like over an hour long video talking about Ice Palace routing.
Yeah, I wish I would. That was actually the very first video of yours I ever watched.
So even if you had hit the switch and you were doing Ice Palace Bomb Jump, in this situation, you would still save time on average by checking the big chest first. And it would really suck if you have to go all the way to iced tea, because as we said, you have to take the super long way. But on average, it's going to be faster because some of the time you're just going to check the big chest and it's going to be there and it's going to be really fast, right? And it turns out that more than makes up for having to go the super long way.
Okay, cool. I like that. So check big chest, cross your fingers. We don't have to go to iced tea. Nope, we're going to iced tea.
But at least you didn't hit the switch, so you just get to dash through this room. Yeah. You don't actually need that key, but that's fine. You can grab it.
I grab it just in case.
It really doesn't cost you any time to grab it on the way in because you have to wait for the anti-fairy anyways.
Yeah. And icebreaker takes an extra magic shot than you would.
Yeah.
If you were. And so if for example you need a powder and anti-fairy, then you're not going to have you're not going to have enough magic. So grabbing the extra key, from a person who needs safeties, in my opinion, is always worth it.
Yeah. In this case, it wouldn't actually matter because you already had 2 keys.
One.
So from here, so go back to Cold Stair, and from here.
By the way, you want to celebrate finding that ice rod?
Oh, sweet! I didn't even realize. Sweet. Okay, so to go to Cold Stair, which way do you go from here?
I guess you could go back around this way.
That is faster.
Oh, so going through this way is faster.
It's faster.
Okay. But I did use my key in the iced tea room. So, but here. This is a key. Oh yeah, that's right. So you do only need the 2 keys.
Yeah. So if you hadn't wasted that key, you'd have an extra because you picked up that pot key. So you didn't actually need it in this case, but if you pick it up, it doesn't cost you time.
Yeah. Okay. So wow. So you really would never use like.
It depends on how you went through the rest of the dungeon, because if you checked freezer chest and you didn't have a big key, then you know that the big key is an iced tea chest.
Yeah.
And in that case, you would do the bomb jump, assuming you have a small key.
Yeah.
And then you'd use a small key there. So it really depends, actually.
Yeah. So so in the case of big key in iced tea, that's when you would use the bomb jump and you would see that room. But otherwise, you're doing the ice skate room,
the freezer chest, and then you're doing big chest right after that. Yeah. Unless you did the Ice Palace bomb jump route, so you hit the switch and you have 2 or more items remaining, because then you have to check iced tea if you want to check all the items.
Yeah, if you still have 2, if you still have 2 items by the time you finish freezer chest, then yes, you absolutely have to check iced tea.
You can't skip it. It's a pretty risky skip, but I would not recommend skipping it.
Yeah,
you have to check iced tea, and in that case, it's faster to go to iced tea first, then the big chest, and then the cold stair. If you have the hook shot.
Because you can hook shot across the ice skate room, right?
Because you need to hook shot clip to big chest.
Right.
Let's see.
Excuse me. Let's
see. But yeah, writing ice palace is hard.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like it's so complicated.
It's
Okay,
really
so
complicated. That's why I talked about it for an hour. But at least icebreaker, it's easy. If you can, go to big chat first.
yeah. Um,
And good luck for the for ice palace bomb jump. And you can
yeah,
watch my video after your seed to figure out if you did it right.
yeah. I mean, I feel like I know that one really well.
Okay, that's good.
Um,
I don't think many people in this community actually know how to write route ice palace correctly with all the different cases.
I know how to route it with Ice Palace Bomb Jump because that's the only thing we had back in the day. So,
Yeah, but I don't think people knew how to route it correctly. That's the thing.
I mean, this is why I wanted to have this conversation with you because, like, nobody back in the day went from I like they always went up through Ice
Yep.
T into the long room, down to
Yeah, the tile
down to the
drop
big
down, right?
chest, and then over.
The tile drop down, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's lower.
yeah, yeah, man.
That's
Icebreakers.
because it's because no one timed it. And I don't blame them. It's really hard to time all the different possibilities. And it depends on whether you have small key and whether you have big key and all these things and the average case and the probability. It's hard, man, to figure it out. But I figured it out and I can say, don't do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Unless you're in key sanity and then you know you have to go to everything. But let's not talk about that. I'm gonna blow your head up.
I might have to actually just route an IPBJ. It's hard because you can't do
It's hard
the.
because you can't do the same thing every time.
Yeah, I think.
Depends.
Well, it was. I'm saying it's like it's hard to practice because the practice hack doesn't randomize where everything is each
Yeah,
time.
it's hard. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, the closest I can get you is for to a cheat sheet is the end of my video where I try to summarize everything. That's the closest you can get.
yeah, no, I wasn't. I understand that. I'm totally gonna check out the cheat sheet. I was just like hoping to practice some of the various options for myself. But I
Mm-hmm.
guess what you could do is if in your cheat sheet you like listed out what the possible routes are, then you could just practice those that order of getting everything IPBJing in.
Yeah, you could pretend. Yeah, what hands
Yeah.
you got.
Um,
I tried to make a flow chart for Ice Palace once. I failed miserably.
um,
It just like exploded into this spider.
yeah.
Okay, but good news. We have a fire round.
We have the fire rod. So let's kill the we can't let's see, moth. Wait, kill the squid, kill the moth. What is this guy? Kill the puffs? Let's kill the puffs.
Puffs. Yeah. All
Okay.
right.
So
We
we've
need
got
what do we need? We need two things, right?
we need the ice rod and we need the TR medallion.
Yeah.
And we've got a fully clearable Misery Mire
Yep.
available to us. So I'm just going to go do that first.
Yep. Makes sense. Misery Mire is like the worst dungeon for item density, but you still got to do it.
Yeah.
It's a Chrysalis.
Um, so you might know, you don't have to know, but you might. I personally go to Spike Room first because if I'm in Go mode and this is the big key, then I've got big key, small key, and I'm through, right? But
Sure, but if the big key is in this bridge chest,
then you can hover over, but I can't hover.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
So
yeah,
for
but I'm saying like if the big key was so I usually go this. I'm a little bit more conservative. It really doesn't matter that much. I'm a little bit more conservative, and I say, why don't I give myself two chances for the big key for my fast route, right? Because
oh,
otherwise
that's
I
a
have to
good
come
point.
back and do the big chest and then go back to the right again, right? So it's a little bit extra backtracking.
Yeah. I mean,
But either way is fine. It's
yeah,
just
you
whether
have
you
to
want to
come back through
optimize
this way,
for.
so it is literally, like from here to here. So it is like the one extra transition.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
yeah. So whatever you want to optimize for.
Yeah. So let's do this. Here's Remire Big Key. God.
Godmire, of course, when you're not in go
Yeah.
mode.
But we're not in go mode, so we're just gonna keep going. We had a long discussion the other day
Oh gosh, yeah.
about cutscene chest last or not, and I just decided to put cutscene chest in the middle where I normally do it and
Okay, that's fine.
optimize for other gambles.
Okay, that's fine.
So
I am pretty sure that it's faster on average if you do it last. But if you want to just take the simple route, go
yeah.
ahead. I haven't made that. Once I make my like 2 hour long Misery Meyer routing video, then I'll start complaining. But until I make that, I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. So we're gonna come down here and
There
go
you go.
over.
Oh, you save time.
So yeah, this would have saved this saves time,
You're
right?
making all the right calls this seed.
Come down this way, come up. Oh, and then okay, so
That's everything except for
that's
choice.
everything. So we got it
So
in the back.
there you go. Nice spooky action glitch. Perfectly executed.
Okay, so
All
I think
right.
we've got a bag of shit left. We've got Smith
You actually
chain.
don't have that many options, right? Yeah.
Yes, we've got Smith chain, catfish, pod, and Eastern are our options.
And I guess one item in Skullwoods.
Yeah, one
And
item in Skullwoods and the pendant or the pedestal
there's one other pretty relevant option, which is going to TR.
going in. Well, I can't open TR though.
Oh yeah, you don't have either. Never mind.
Um,
All right, so it's basically
so
between Smith Chain and Pod Eastern, right?
yeah, so basically the options are Smith chain and pod Eastern. Now here's the question. If this is looking like a pedestal seed, you would basically never check ped. You're like, okay, there's a chance here. So when I go do pod Eastern, I'm actually just going to do both of those bosses, get those two pendants, and if I still don't have anything, I'm going to go over and kill Moth and blind pull the ped. What do you think about that?
Um, I think that makes sense. That's probably one argument that would push me towards doing Smith Chain first here.
Ah, okay. So you save the Smith chain. So because when we do Pod Eastern, we're basically locking ourselves into a long series of checks.
Yeah, and if you think about it, like when you go to Pod Eastern, you're basically going to have like very little left, right?
Yeah. So
So
you're
you
gonna
probably
you're
want to get those pendants, even if there's nothing on Home Store and Armos, right?
yeah,
At that point, just because there's so little else left.
yeah,
And in that case, I think I'm more comfortable committing to those pendants, right? Which could be a waste of time if I've already done Smith Chain. Does that make sense?
yeah. In this case, I completely agree with you. I don't in an actual seat, I don't know if I would have made the right decision, but that's why we're talking about this. So let's do Smith chain.
Yeah. And plus, there's my rule of overall checks are a little bit more efficient. But like you said, maybe progression is always independent pod.
Well,
Who knows?
yeah, I mean, I'm still gonna do pendant pod first and then Eastern
Sure.
because
Yep.
so we're gonna do Smith and then pendant pod and then Eastern.
Yeah, that makes
And if we
sense.
still don't have it by then, actually getting over to Moth, finishing off Moth and pulling the ped.
Yeah,
That
after green pennant,
yeah.
after green pennant. But yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So let's
So would you do magic bat first on its own, or would you do combine that with the other thing? Probably
I
combine that
mean
with everything else, right?
I would combine it with everything else, but I just happen to be on the right screen. Let's actually do it in the right order just for the good muscle memory. So I would blacksmiths first.
Well, you pick up the blacksmith and then take it over to hammer pegs, and you check
Take it
hammer
over to do
pegs
hammer
first.
pegs. And then
You turn
mirror
in
to
the
light
smith,
world, do magic bat, go back to dark world, grab the
grab the purple chest,
purple chest,
invisible purple chest by running over.
invisible purple chest your way over, mirror to light world here, go back to dark world, and then
And
do
almost
Wobbles
tablet.
tablet.
Yep.
Why is this marked as visible? Huh.
Yeah, that's like a Z3R sim. You can't actually peek it without getting it.
Yeah. Okay, so that was
Waste of time, unfortunately.
a waste of time, but uh completely locking ourselves, like pulling the ped when our ice rod was on, Bombos tablet, is an even worse waste of time, right?
Yeah.
So now the question becomes the only options that we have left are actually I'm gonna mark this so that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because so the only options that we have left are catfish, pod eastern,
Let's go woods.
and skullwoods. So do we do catfish before pod eastern?
No way.
No way.
No way, dude. It's like a one isolated check in the middle of nowhere. It's got to be less efficient.
So we're not. So we're one from go, or no, we're two from
We're
go
not even
right
one
now.
from go. Yeah. I think
Yeah, we're
even if
two
you're one
from
from
go right
go,
now.
it's just
So
like, if you think about the amount of time it takes to get to catfish alone,
so
yeah, maybe it's faster than the time it takes you to get to like the first chest and pod. So in that metric, you'll be a little bit ahead on checks. But then, pod is just going to have, pod Eastern is just going to have so much density, right? Like
yeah.
if you go
So
to
here's
catfish
my
first, you have to do the walk to catfish, then mirror, then go all the way through the pod maze. And it's,
yeah. So here's my reasoning. Very similar reasoning to right before AGA. So if you so right when we're trying to do AGA, we're trying to decide if we want to do AGA. We're basically taking we're gonna last location him, right? Because we want to avoid AGA at all costs.
that's not what we did in the seed, but yeah,
That's not what we did in the seed, but like
yeah,
that's based on our equipment, we chose to do AGA. But if like for example, if all you're missing is a glove and you've got like a pendant paw, if you've got like a pendant Eastern and an AGA, like you're gonna dip pendant Eastern, right?
usually, yeah.
You're not gonna rush AGA. Um, and so in my mind, I'm thinking like once we start pod, we basically lock ourselves into a sequence of events that ends with us pulling the pedestal.
I don't know if that's true. Like, there's nothing stopping you from doing pod, Eastern, and then catfish, and then ped, and then Skullwoods and ped, right?
Okay, that's right, because catfish is basically the same. Like we have the Aga portal, right? So
Yeah,
catfish is basically the same amount of time, no matter when I'm going to do it.
yeah. And you're
Uh,
like you're gonna flute away to get to Skullwoods anyway, so you can string together catfish in the middle there,
okay.
right?
I love that idea. That was the information that I was looking for
Yeah,
because
yeah. There's no reason you need to lock yourself into the whole thing all the way to ped. Yeah,
yeah, I was yeah, that's right. So for first, let's go ahead and do pod because
yeah.
pod into Eastern is easier because then you can flute afterwards.
You mean mirror? Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. It saves you a mirror transition to do pod first,
yeah.
and then Eastern. And I think I wonder which one is more efficient in terms of checks per second.
Okay, so
Have
while
that,
you're figuring that out, I'm gonna run through pod.
pod key logic.
I do. Um,
Awesome.
I'd be happy to just like narrate out loud what my logic is, and you can correct me if I catch anything.
Yes. Oh, it looks like Eastern Palace is a little bit less efficient than pod, but probably more with the green pennant. But I don't mind going to pod first here. I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. So you got,
Especially since like after Eastern, we're gonna walk over to Saha, and then from Saha, we're gonna flute.
yeah, that's true.
Like,
Another argument for doing pod, I usually hate these kinds of things, but another argument for doing pod and not Eastern is because it's pretty likely that your opponent, whoever you're racing against, might have already checked Eastern.
might
Um,
have already checked Eastern. Okay.
because remember, we were making a pretty tough decision between whether to rush Aga or do Eastern Palace, right? It's
Yeah.
very likely that your opponent might have made the other decision and already full cleared Eastern, right?
Yeah.
So in that sense, from like a race meta perspective, I think it behooves you to do pod because that's the thing that's more likely to win you the race here.
Okay. Good to know.
I really don't like playing that way, but it is worth it.
Yeah, I also don't like playing, like to win races. I like playing to
Yeah,
like I compete against myself from yesterday,
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah, yeah,
necessarily
for sure,
against
for
the
sure.
the, the
Yeah, I'm
other
the same way.
person. So yeah, I like very rarely join tournaments. I only joined the Kaz Boots tournament because it got announced like the day after I restarted Rando, and I was like,
Okay,
sure,
okay.
I don't even know what Kaz Boots is. Okay, pod
All right,
logic. So I
all
just
right.
got
We got tricky routing here because it's boat locked.
yeah. So I'm gonna since I got the big key, I'm gonna mirror out and we're gonna go to the right side.
Pop quiz. Do you know which path to take to get to that right hand door?
Uh
Do you go up the middle and then push the statue, or do you go to the right and then up?
I'm gonna guess that pushing the statue is faster because of the clicking the button is pretty slow.
Yeah, it is. It is faster. It's pretty close, but I when I was timing it, it is faster. Pretty close though.
Um,
So good job. Your intuition is right.
I'm gonna have so much fun re-listening to this because like I've already got a page of notes.
All right.
Okay, so back to pods. So what I'm looking for is another big item because what I know about the first 6 chests is that there's going to be at least 4
At least
small
four.
ones.
Yeah.
And so if I find 2 big items,
Well,
that
you already found the big key.
yes.
So there's
So
only one other. There can be at most one non-small key in the rest of these.
in the rest of this. So if I find one additional non-small key, then I know I can skip Stalfos basement and the big key chest on this go around.
Oh,
Whether or not
because
we have to go back to Stalfos basement later depends on if we have enough keys to get back to Helma.
and whether you can save a key by doing the hammer bomb jump.
I
I don't know.
can hammer bomb jump, but I'm trying to think of a situation. In this situation, I would hammer bomb jump, do dark maze backwards, and then use the key to get over, right?
Yeah,
Um,
but if you do the hammer, if you do the right side of the back first and then do dark maze last, you'd
yeah.
save a key, which means you wouldn't have to do Stalfos.
Okay.
I
So
don't know if that's faster. I haven't done the hour-long video on pod yet.
um, I can't imagine it would be slower, right? Because
It seems faster, right? Because
it
you get to
seems
avoid doing
faster.
Stalfos, and it can't be that much slower to do Dark Maze second, right? Is what I'm thinking. But I honestly, I would have to make the video to tell for sure. This game can be really deceiving in terms of what is faster. I will tell you that.
Yeah. I think that that's part of what's made it so successful is that it is deceptively deep,
It's really tricky. Okay,
especially since the base game is not nearly this deep, right?
yeah.
Okay, so here we are. Let's do these two spots, pod small keys. So
Okay.
I'm gonna come this way and flip the switch
Mhm.
and dash over. Now I know that there's a red boomerang strat where you don't have to hit that switch. Wait, no, you do. What's the okay? So
Yeah,
the
you're
red
thinking
boom,
about something else. Yeah,
yeah. So the red boomerang strat is about like once these are down,
yeah. And you're going to Helma. Yeah,
yeah. Once these are down and this is up, if I'm going to go into the back,
yeah,
that's what the red boomerang strat is for. Because
yeah. You
otherwise
don't.
you have to scene
Yeah,
transition down and
yeah,
back
yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the last one.
You bonk over, get this. Okay, so those other two are keys. You know for
Yes.
sure.
Okay, so we know that they're keys. So let's go over this way.
Okay, so if you go here first, you're committing to saving the key using the hammer bomb jump like we talked about, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're going to come back this way. You do the right side, these 2 chests, and this. Okay, so the last bit of logic is that if you have 2 keys left after this, right? Like you skipped the 2 keys in the front. If you have only 2 keys, then the harmless hellway also has a key, so you can skip it. Now I have 3 keys, which means that the harmless hellway has something.
I see. You're doing it by like your current key count.
Yeah, right? Because if you only have 2 keys, then and you use a key
I would,
here and
yeah.
you
So
use
you're
a
right in
key,
this case. I would hesitate on using your current key count as that judge as the gauge of that because there can be situations where you rush Helmasaur first.
uh, if
If
I was rushing Helmasaur first, yes, I would do a different.
yeah, so but basically, you've either located or found all 6 of the small keys, so you know Harmless Hallway can't be a small key.
Okay.
However, you remember that is fine.
Yeah. Okay. So let's do Hellway. 50 rupees. And
Then you're
let's
gonna do your reverse
bomb jump.
hammer jump
Oh,
from the top, yeah.
yeah, I don't know this one, but I don't.
I mean, it's the
Uh,
same lineup. It's just a little bit, yeah, a little bit less time to set it up, I think.
yeah, and I'm pretty good about setting it up, so I think I think I could just do it a couple of times and be fine. So
Yeah.
let's do this. So then we click this guy,
Mhm.
this guy. Man, 350 rupees in a row. Okay, so then the last.
Okay. So I know we said we're gonna definitely
Yeah.
get the pendant. So here's my proposition: mirror, go to Eastern first,
Hmm.
and then come
Yeah,
back for Helma because you're already at the entrance.
we're already at, yeah, that makes sense. We're already at the entrance. So mirror to light world, Eastern. And then are we going to fully clear Eastern so that we can also do
Yeah,
the
for sure.
green?
Eastern for sure because you want the green pendant.
Yeah, so then we're going to want to make sure not to mirror on that bridge. We're going to have to make sure to mirror out of the way so that we can get out
Uh,
of Eastern.
you're
So
talking
that's
about
it.
when you first exit from pod.
Yeah, so if we're in pod, right? And we leave, there's there's a
I see
like
what you're saying.
a
Yes,
staircase down.
yes. Because
And
you
if
want to walk because you're thinking about walking to Saha, maybe.
yeah.
Yeah, there is a way to get through the mirror portal. You'd have to like, I think, use a bomb, but it is faster to just do what you said and place the mirror in a way that it's not going to block you.
Yeah. Okay, so let's do this. Do 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 do.
Okay, okay, and
Here we okay.
okay. So
I was
no
about to
50-50.
say, I was about to say, there's always like the risky 50-50 when there's either an item on Helma or an item on
On
Armor
Armos. Yeah,
or an
it
item
is. It's
in the
that
beginning.
I would recommend going to Armos first every time. Well, hold on. Hmm. That would actually be really tricky in this case because it's not like crystal, but it's a green pendant. So I would actually have no idea what to do.
Yeah. So
If it's a
I'm
crystal, I would always recommend going to Armos first because it saves time on average.
okay.
Even if you so even if you go back in for vanilla big key chests,
Hmm.
it saves time on average.
Okay.
Because 50% of the time, you're gonna have to go through the whole first half of the dungeon and get to the vanilla key chest, and that's gonna cost an extra 30 seconds. So that sucks, right? If you lose a 50-50. But half of the time, you're not gonna have to go to vanilla big key chest at all, and that saves a minute.
Okay.
So it does save time overall, even if you have to go back in. I have a video on this. The tricky part is it's very, very easy to say, I'm going to take the 50-50 and go back in if I need to for for the last item, right?
Hmm.
And then once you beat Armos, I don't know. I have Darkhold access now.
Yeah, you have to like if you're gonna skip and there's still an item, you have to like commit to going
You
back.
gotta, yeah, you gotta be very disciplined, right? Because then it's
Mhm.
like, I don't know, maybe I can come back when I do pod, and then you last location, you know, last location in medallion or something there. So be careful.
Okay.
But
So
for
at
now,
this
we're definitely going to do vanilla Vicky chest.
yes. Thank you for reminding me. I had to like reorient where we were after that thought exercise. Okay, that was not the medallion we were looking for, game.
Okay, man, where's it going to be? I bet you your guys' fraud's going to be in. Ooh.
Okay,
Well, I think. Okay, well,
let's let's do the green pendant.
yeah, for sure.
Oh man.
If only if you wanted it to be
Oh
easy.
wait, where no, Ether was on Armos Knights.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I missed that. Um okay, so
So
we're going back in for Helma, right?
I don't know.
I think that at this point we have to
I
because
don't think you do actually.
so if we do okay, so here's a play. We do Skull Woods and hope that it's there. If it's not
No,
there, we check Ped.
no. You're forgetting a really important option.
Oh, okay. Oh, I can get into TR now.
Yeah.
Oh, fucker.
What do you think?
So I think we got to go into TR
Yeah, you got it.
because if we do anything else is pretty risky. Let's see. Did we find any? I think Pod was a bust, wasn't it?
Pod was a bust. Yes, got a lot of rupees.
Okay. So fortunately for us, though, well, if Ice Rod is in TR, then wait, where was Fire Rod? Fire Rod was pretty recent, right? Fire Rod was
An ice
after
palace.
Ice.
Is an ice palace.
So after Ice Palace, we went to Misery Mire, which we probably would have done either way because we still didn't have Ice Rod. So we do Misery Mire. So I'm just thinking, like, had we done Eastern back at the beginning of this seed, what would have happened? So we would have done Misery Mire, had Ether, and then we probably would have gone to TR. So the only thing that we really lost.
Well, I don't know if you can say that for sure because if I'm running the seed, so I did Eastern at the very beginning of the seed, right? Before
Yeah.
admin, I would have had Ether during my trip to Dark Death Mountain, and I would have been able to go into TR.
And oh, but you wouldn't have had Ice Rod yet.
I wouldn't have had the Fire Rod,
Fire Rod, sorry.
but I might have taken the call, and I might have made that call and taken the plunge into TR. It kind of depends on what the seed looked like at then, but I could have taken the dip into TR, and if I find my Ice Rod there, then I'm
If TR isn't Fire Rod locked.
yeah, of course. So maybe I just get the first chest and it's just a big key and I'm out of there. But maybe I get my ice rod, you know, on laser bridge or something, and then I get to skip all of pod.
Yeah.
So
So I would so had we I think that Eastern early, like in hindsight, Eastern early clearly was the right play because the progression was
yeah,
there. And even if we had so we would have done uh Ice Palace, right? Gotten the Fire Rod. Given the choice between fully clearable Mire and an Ice Rodless TR, we would have clearly gone to Mire.
oh yeah, yeah. So you're now okay. Now you're thinking, okay, I'm following you. Yeah,
And so then, because what we did was right after Meyer, we did blacksmiths. So we would have, so
hmm.
right after Meyer, we probably would have gone to TR. So we are down a smith chain and a pod because we didn't do that early.
Actually, that so if we had been in that situation, I think choosing between Smith Chain and TR is pretty tough there for
Okay,
me.
yeah, we might have done smith chain before going to TR because
There's also a big reason to do Smith Chain before TR, and that is the possibility of saving your portal on Laser Bridge.
yeah,
And you don't want to, and if you do that, you can't use your mirror if you want to save that. And of
yeah,
course, you want to use your mirror for Smith Chain, right?
yeah. Okay, so we probably would have done smith chain. So we're really
Some
like
people will rush
there.
TR in that case, but yeah, I don't know. It's
I
tough.
mean, yeah, who knows
Tough.
what you're feeling in the moment, but
Tough.
like
Yeah.
so knowing in hindsight that Eastern was the right play because we got
Yeah.
the
So we're
TR.
basically down a full clear of pod, right? Or not even a full clear.
Not a full like a half clear of pod because we
Pod
did
minus Helma, right?
pod minus the helmet trip.
We also got to skip Stalfos room. That's good.
Yes. Thank you, reverse hammer jump. Actually, which is something that I didn't even know existed until Bitey told me about it. So
Yeah.
thank you. Okay, so let's do the TR.
Let's do it. Oh my god, catfish is hanging out there.
Yeah, so ice rotted catfish, man.
Eh,
What we're pulling ped before we do catfish, right?
um,
Or well, we're doing Helma before catfish, and then maybe we're doing catfish after Helma.
no, I think catfish is faster, right?
Oh, faster than Helma. Okay, so
Because if you beat Helma, you have that doesn't pay off until after you beat Moth and pull Ped, right? I think it's worth
right,
it to
yeah,
check
catfish. I
catfish
think
first.
catfish is so where we're going after this. If we don't find ice here, we're going to catfish next, I would guess.
Yeah, that would really suck. It'd be really annoying to save your mirror portal through all that too. Ugh.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully your ice rod's here.
Okay. So back in the day we would do compass room first, but lately I've been doing roller room first.
Because we have quick swap now. That's why.
Yes. Is that why? Because then you can
That's why, because you can just mirror here for free, whereas before you had to menu. I think that's what made the difference. You know what? I haven't timed it for myself. So, but that is probably what made the difference and why everyone does this now. But it is true. Sometimes you can never know until you see the video proof.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, do mirror and go get this.
Yeah, mirror, go get this. Blast,
Try not to
get
get
yourself
bullied by chain chomps.
bullied by chain chomps.
Okay.
Okay, I always have to remember which direction.
It's the upper left one, yeah. It's a little bit weird. Once you played enough Z3R Sim, you just know exactly what
Yeah,
it is.
so we don't have the big key yet, so we can't steal this key because the
Well,
big
even
key.
if you wanted to, you're missing your ice rod, so you better check this.
Oh, so I was under the impression that if you already if you like the only thing that can be in the lava chest is a big key or a small key.
Well, really? It's always a key for key? Are you sure?
Um,
Huh.
because you're using this key unless you have two keys.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
If you're
because you only have one
using
key.
this
Yeah.
key,
I guess it depends. Yeah, it does. Yeah, I guess it does depend on how many keys you have. Yeah,
yeah,
that's true.
like if I had the right if I had one extra key, like if I instead of getting like compass chain chomps, if I had one extra key, then something could be in here. But if there's only the one key, then this has to be a key for a key. As far as I know. Please correct me if you know differently.
Let's keep going to the dungeon, and then I'll figure out whether that's correct.
Okay, so now we're doing double pokey. We're
Yeah.
still in ice rod mode, so we're going after Mimic Cave.
You do Mimic Cave first here or Big Chest?
So I didn't even know that big chest first was an option until I saw some people doing it recently. So if I understand correctly, the reason to do uh big key, big chest first is because Mimic is slow and Big Key is fast. And
Yeah.
if it happens to be there, then you saved
You
yourself
saved much time, yeah.
a Mimic. Okay.
But if it's not there, then you did waste time going back.
Yeah.
Going back in.
And I could imagine uh, it might be one of those things where, like, what are the actual odds of something being in the big
Yeah.
chest?
Someday I'll do a video on this too. Oh my gosh, so many you
Yeah.
like this whole this whole like 2 hour long session has been like, oh, I wish I had the time for that. Oh, I wish I had the time for that. Because then I could tell you like the ice rod needs to be in this chest X% of the time to make this worth it, right?
Yeah.
But I don't have that number. I think I would do MK first.
Yeah. Mimic Cave. Mimic Cave first is what I've always done. It doesn't really
Sure.
seem like, I mean, if it was like a 1 minute save, that's fine. Like the Armos 50/50, like that makes sense,
Yeah, that
right?
would make sense. Yeah.
This one is, is probably like,
Because the odds that ice rod are specifically in the big chest are pretty low, right?
yeah.
Even at this point in the game when you've checked so much.
Watch the eyes right here. Nope.
Okay.
But there is a big key, so if we had been go moding this dungeon, we would have been screwed. Or I'm sorry, if they're small key. If we had been go moding this dungeon, we would be screwed. We would have gotten all the way to Laser Bridge and had to come back here for a key.
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah. Okay, laser bridge. Show
Oh
us the
wait.
goods.
Oh yeah, no. So the um the if the crystal roller room, I guess yeah. So
But that can be
if
a small
there's a
key too,
key
right?
there, then there if like sometimes crystal roller room has a key to
Yeah,
open that
yeah.
door.
So you do have to check lava chest, right? I think. Yeah.
Two shovel.
Oh no!
Silver arrows.
The
Here we
consolation
go.
prize.
The wrong rod.
All
Okay.
right. The shovel. All right. So you're gonna save your portal.
So mirror go out laser
You're gonna bomb.
bridge.
Yeah, you're gonna go out and bomb. I know it's these theories and doesn't let you do it. So you're gonna go out and bomb, and then you're there. And then you're gonna flute away.
I'm just gonna do this
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because it's annoying. So we're gonna flute away. We're gonna mirror to light world, and we're gonna flute to the shovel check, right?
Yeah.
And then we're doing catfish.
Nice.
Mother forker.
So I mean, you didn't lose any time there. Required double
Yeah,
dip.
I know. It reminds me like the other day we had The other day we had Boots in Turtle Rock, Mirror in Bonk Rocks, and Ice Rod in Checkerboard Cave. Like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. So I think we're we're done, right? Because
Yeah,
the rest
we're
of
done
it
with the
is
seed. Yeah.
just uh getting up to Turtle Rock and finishing off GT. There's not really much more to like talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. As far as routing concerned, yeah, for sure.
Um,
Cool. How do you
cool.
feel?
I loved this. This was so fun. Um, I'm gonna have to rewatch it probably because I've got my notes, but like the other night, I was practicing with Bitey and we were like doing Ganon strats. And
Hmm.
I was like, wait, let me write down this thing that you're telling me. And he's like, no, just do it until you're and just drill it until you're ready. I was like, okay. And then I woke up the next morning and I couldn't remember what the
Yeah,
pattern.
yeah. Different people are definitely different in that way. I think for Biden, he's probably one of those people where he like if he wrote notes, he probably wouldn't remember anything. Like he would like stare at the notes and he'd be like, "What does this mean?
Yeah.
This is written in some cryptic language I don't understand." But
Yeah.
if he just practices it, he probably gets it, right? So
Yeah. Cool. So we had talked about doing me just running through a seed and like narrating out loud, but like and you just taking notes on all of the things that I either forgot that we just talked about or things that you would have done differently. But we've also been at this for 2 hours and I
you know,
want
this
to
is a
two
long
and a half
time.
hours
Yeah,
and I want to like
and I think
respect
I've,
time.
I've I think you have plenty of notes already, right? So
Yeah.
I want to overload you. I do think in terms of like if we want to just do like a like a quick debrief, like I
Yeah.
think the stuff that came up towards the beginning of the seed is it was really like kind of the stuff that I want you to try and hammer home. The
Okay.
thinking about checks in terms of what do I want to put off here, right? Because you
Yeah.
when you're looking for your go mode item, things become a little bit different because then it's like, okay, I want my fast, efficient checks because I'm just looking
Yeah.
for one item. And once I have that, I'm done, right? But when you're in the beginning of the seed and you're always going to do mini multi cave, you're always going to do the dam. Maybe you get to skip a Gina, right? But you're always going to do Saha. So what do you gain by doing them in one order versus another item, another order, right? What items
Yeah.
can you
Totally.
get that will change that and make that better? Less backtracking, more efficient check strings, right? Take your free checks, especially when you have a flute. Take your free checks first. Don't think about it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I really appreciate the concept of free checks,
Yeah,
like the
once you have
checks.
your glove and your bombs, just do back escape. Yeah.
Yeah, like the checks that have no downside. Whereas we were definitely talking about like some checks that are risky. Like Zora is risky without money. Eastern is risky because it's a pendant. Um, Front of Escape is risky because I didn't have lamp.
And
Um,
you didn't know at the time, but also because of Aga. Right?
yeah,
Because you had to come back there for Aga, yeah. And
cool.
I
Well,
think as you gain more and more experience, you'll be able to think even deeper about what checks are free. For example, after Ice Rod Cave, I had the idea of saving and quitting and saying, hey, Hobo is also a free check, but that's only because we have the flute and the flippers, and you always flute out of Hobo in that particular situation, right?
yeah,
But normally, if you don't have that specific item loadout, Hobo's not free because you kind of want to swim out and go to Zora, right? So
yeah, yeah. No, I super appreciate that. I think that um, we had some micro optimizations
yeah, I
towards the
can't I
end.
can't help talking about that stuff, man.
No, 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 no. Super appreciate it,
It's
right?
good.
Like
It's good.
saving the key in Pod was really helpful. Like how to get back out of Ice Tea in Ice Palace was really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Using the Super Bunny portal when you're checking Dark Death Mountain, like
Yeah, these are especially like that Super Bunny thing. Like these are I love these things because they are the easiest time saves that you can implement into your game. If you just know to use the Super Bunny portal versus using the TR portal, you just gain free time on your opponent and you took zero execution skill, right? All it was is a knowledge check,
yeah,
right? And those
yeah,
are the easiest ones, right? Just gain the free seconds. Your opponent didn't know the fastest path, but you did. You just gained 10 seconds, right?
yeah.
How much easier is that than like having to execute your GT climb that much better? Oh my god, right?
I mean, I did practice.
That
Uh,
said,
oh,
make sure you
I
make
I
sure you
did
practice.
practice my Ganon, and I saved a minute.
Okay, well, yeah, that's part two.
Yeah, I got my like in my vanilla preset PB, I have a Ganon death, and so my Ganon is like 4 minutes.
Okay, okay.
And my best Ganon is like 2 minutes and 53 seconds. And last night I did a 1:53
Okay, okay.
minutes.
Oh,
So
good work.
uh,
Good work.
I completely agree though, because one of the things like I did all of this work, and not to complain because I needed to convince myself of this, but I deconstructed. I did a race against Jem in the
Oh yeah,
past,
yeah, yeah. I heard you talking about this. Yes.
and I deconstructed everything. Like I calculated exactly how much time he spent
Yeah, yeah,
checking each check, and I compared that to how much time I spent checking each check. And I went through and looked for all of the places that I could have had a time save, right? And um, in the end, I don't think that I actually gained that much value out of that exercise because it's not NMG where you're doing the exact same thing
yeah,
with, with your opponent, right? Like he comboed Graveyard with King's Tomb and I didn't, so I lost some time there, right?
yeah.
Like,
And it's like hard to quantify that, and it's like, yeah,
yeah. Like, okay, yeah, I know that I lost 6 minutes in the overworld because of a combination of execution and he just like was more efficient with his checks. But
so just
um
be more efficient.
yeah.
Yeah,
But I think the
yeah,
like the concept of risk and the concept of free checks, I think, is gonna definitely help me um be better at that like early routing because
yeah, for sure.
um okay, cool. Well, so I did say this in the Discord, but I just want to make sure that I say this again, that if anything that we talked about today is interesting or valuable to you about you're like, wow, that was a good discussion. I just want to plop that discussion on my YouTube. Like, feel free. Like, I've got this recorded. If anything about like I really value your time, I want to make sure that you get something out of it as well, if above and beyond the conversation. So if any of this was interesting or useful for bite-sized rando, please feel free to use it.
Yeah,
Uh,
I know there were like some random like timing things. I think the main thing that stood out was that I will probably just like mull over in my head. There was the Skullwoods routing, which I already do that routing, so I guess it's not a big change. But there was the Agena check with the flute. I
yeah.
did not think about it, things in that way before. That's something I'm gonna have to think about. I never thought about how long it takes to get from Desert Palace to Agena and how it's not a long time, but it's probably not that far off from just doing an extra flute to Agena. And that's something I'm gonna have to think about, or maybe even time out.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, it wouldn't take you that long to figure out how long does it take. So from Flute, right? Like to check Desert Ledge over to Agena. And
yeah,
then,
that's easy to time. The
yeah,
harder one is Desert Palace because it also like, it, yeah, because even so, if you end up on the right side, then maybe it's comparable because you just walk out the right side and then hop over to Agena. But you could get your big key on right side and
and hop
then
out and be out over on the left side.
finish off the left side, and then it's a little bit longer, right? Because you have to walk out the left side and then walk around. That's got to be slower than fluting an extra time to Agena, probably, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe an extra save and quit. Yeah, I don't know. Something I'm
So
gonna have to think about.
if I could imagine that um, coming out on the left side, because you're gonna like if you hadn't already scouted the the item. You come down. Let's see, you can't do Moldorm at this moment. So you come down, you check the item, hop off the ledge, and like walk to Agena, right? Like that walk is the same either way, whether
Yeah, and it's
check
it's
the item.
slower to get. I imagine it's slower to get from the big chest to the left exit than it is to just flute to Agena. Maybe.
Yeah. And you also have to take into account like maybe you don't account for like actually like walking in the front of desert because you're gonna have to walk in the front of
You do
desert
have to do
either
that
way.
anyways, but yeah, it's a pretty good argument for always checking Agena with the flute.
I mean,
I
unless you get the book and you can actually combo it in with desert, but it's not
Yeah,
worth putting off until you can combo it with desert.
yeah, probably. I mean, it's worth putting off like a little bit, but there's only a like small risk, right, as
Yeah.
opposed to bigger risk. I'm definitely gonna have to think about that.
So of all of the things that we talked about today, like of course there's some really great stuff in there for, like a quick timing video. but I think that the most valuable thing to me was the concept of free checks and like
Yeah.
risk for
Yes.
checking things.
Yes.
And of all of the things that I would suggest that you make a video of, I think that that would be very valuable to, because
Oh, I see that.
it might not actually take you that long to explain, so it wouldn't be that like
I see.
long of a video. And I actually think that that was, I mean, it was very valuable for me to hear. So,
Sure. It's I haven't made any of those sorts of videos yet because uh so far my channel had my bite-sized random series has focused on like just like objective, like here's how you do this the fastest, or like,
yeah,
here I basically am just providing the information. Whereas what we're talking about is kind of more like a routing 201, where it's kind of like, okay, here's how to think about routing. And it's a different kind of video, I think.
okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, I
So
mean, obviously, like,
I agree that those kinds of videos are something that we don't really have right now, right? I've never really seen that. I've seen a little bit of like, here's your first seed, here's your options on how to route from you can do an uncle start, and then you can maybe do South Shore, right? I've seen
yeah,
that exists, but there's none of this like, what do you do next? Like, how do you route efficiently?
yeah.
Do all that stuff? So I agree that that needs to exist. Maybe someday I'll make that video. Yeah, it's a little bit more intimidating for me to make it because it's such a nuanced topic. But yeah, I agree. It would be good.
Cool. Well, if I could be of assistance, of course, please let me know. Happy to like. I feel like really contributed to by you, so I want to like offer as much. Not that this was expecting a quid pro quo, but I do like to be able to return. You
Yeah, no,
know,
it was good. It was good. This is actually you actually raised some pretty interesting points. It's just even the Agina thing alone. It's just like, oh man, this is blowing my mind. Yeah.
I know, right? Especially since you're the person who's like you think really hard about how long it takes to do things, and so when somebody presents a slightly different way to do it, like your brain just loves that.
Yeah. Just thinking about those time differences and everything. Yeah. So
Would it be helpful for you to have access to this VOD? I could like upload it to my YouTube channel.
um sure. If it's not any trouble. I think I mostly remember what I
Okay.
want to take away, so it's not really a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna, like it's gonna be stored on my computer either way. Uploading, I've got
Honestly,
gigabit.
honestly,
I've got
I
gigabit.
probably won't look at it. Yeah, but
Okay.
yeah,
Cool. Well, thank you so much. I look forward to uh having you on, us having some of these conversations live while I'm trying to execute at the same time.
yeah,
Um,
that'll be another story.
yeah,
Um, yeah, but do some Z3R sim practice. Try to apply these principles.
yeah,
And if you're ever in a situation in Z3R sim where you're like, I don't really know what I should do here, you can just screenshot it.
okay,
Yeah, or even you can even capture the seed number and paste it, so I can do it. But probably easiest is to just screenshot and say like, I just did this and I'm in this situation now, and I'm thinking, tell me your thoughts, right?
yeah,
I'm thinking about doing this, but then there's this other option. What do you think you would do? Yeah.
yeah. I felt like that the whole like, okay, so we get like the early access to like bow and flippers like really presented us lots of strong options, and so we like dived into the details on that. Um, okay, cool. Well, thank you so much. Super appreciate your time.
Yeah, it was good to
Uh,
finally meet you face to
yeah,
face.
it is funny, right? Like you hear people, sometimes you hear people's voices. More often than not, you see what they type, and it is nice to see somebody face to face.
Yeah,
Cool. Well, have fun. Hopefully it's not too late wherever you are, but and have a good night.
yeah, you too. See ya.